No, I'm good. It's a beautiful Central Virginia day, and we're set for a battle of prep powers as Woodberry Forest hosts Benedictine. I'm Jeremy Huber, joined by Brian Gardner. Monica Moore will be along in just a bit as we look at the beautiful campus of Woodberry Forest. And again, such a great day as we're ready for some great football action here. These two teams, Benedictine and Woodberry Forest, such good matchup. Brian Gardner, Jeremy Huber with you. Monica Moore will be along in just 1 second. And Brian, again, great records for both squads. Woodberry comes in at 4-0, Benedictine at 6-1. But in a sense, it's a little bit of a battle of David and Goliath size-wise out on the gridiron.
Yeah, you talk about a couple of good football teams, but different in terms of the size. I mean, the biggest matchup that we'll be looking at where there's that disparity is the offensive line for Benedictine versus the defensive line for Woodberry Forest. I mean, we talk about multiple guys over 300 pounds for the Benedictine O-line matching up with the D-line for the Woodberry Forest Tiger. Just one guy listed over 200 pounds, Jeremy, and just a size mismatch like that, it's going to be big in terms of showing toughness, grit, and speed. And it really extends to the skill positions, too. Just to a man, this Benedictine team, the guys you'll see out there in white jerseys, they're bigger than the Woodberry Forest Tigers.
The one good thing, the Tigers have had experience this year playing against some big opponents. Talked to Coach Alexander, Eastern Christian, last week. He said it's almost like our guys look like dolls up against how big they were, but they were able to go ahead and get the victory. Talking about this Benedictine team, let's get to our keys of the game for them as we look at them on our screen.
Yeah, you got to contain the speed. I mean, we talked about the fact that the speed is going to be hopefully for Woodberry Forest their advantage, and that's what Benedictine's going to have to shut down. They're going to show a lot of different defensive fronts and stunts and try and confuse the Benedictine O-line because that's what they have to do with that size mismatch, and just they're going to have to deal with that, avoid. And of course, this being a rivalry game, the emotions will absolutely be running high. That Coach Lilly told me in the week leading up to this that they really have come to enjoy playing this game, and it's a lot of fun. You look forward to it, and you got to get up and got to be ready to go, but not too emotional getting into the game.
course, there'll be a lot of emotion if our player to watch for Benedictine finds the end zone as he usually does. That'd be Scott Bracey, real standout in multiple positions for this Benedictine Cadets team.
Yeah, he's listed as a quarterback and a defensive back on the Benedictine roster, but he'll run the ball, he'll throw the ball, he'll catch the ball. He leads them in passing yards, in rushing yards, and also has a few receptions under his belt. It's an unconventional offense, not traditional in any sense of the word, and Scott Bracey really embodies that when you show all the different things that number 9 in the white jersey can do out there on the football field.
Already committed to Duke, though, as a wide receiver. Over to Woodberry Forest, their keys to a win today, Brian.
Well, we've already mentioned a couple of times the disparity in the size, and you've got to match the physicality, because a team with a size advantage like that, they're going to try to push you around a little bit. The quarterback play, of course, with Lindell Stone is going to be key, and win on the special team side, and we're going to check in on a couple of guys, but they have a few high-quality returners, and especially Nathaniel Tyrell, who we'll talk about momentarily, a guy who's already run back 2 kickoffs for a touchdown and 1 punt.
Also an interception on the season. And let's talk about our players to watch for Woodberry Forest. And you mentioned it, Nathaniel Tyrell. Look at some of the plays. One of his big interception return. This turned a game earlier in the season. Actually had 4 returns, 4 touchdowns this season. And when you look at the game tape of this guy, one thing says he is a playmaker.
Playmaker indeed. And on the defensive side of the ball, we mentioned that he'll return punts and kicks for you as well. He's so fast, so skilled, and if you get the ball in his hands on the defensive side, as you can see right there on that playback, watch out, because he can make a guy miss, and I've seen try to get him a couple of times going on the offensive side as well, but just an absolute playmaker, not the biggest guy, but absolutely the fastest guy you'll see out there.
And a guy Coach Alexander said the moment he saw him at their 7th grade camp, he was a guy who knew could play some great football. Over to our next player to watch, it would be number 1, H.T. Minor, the running back. He's earned the number 1 jersey this year, and he is a guy that really can get it done at the running back spot. Yeah,
the senior out of Washington, D.C. He's only about 5'9", but another guy, just absolutely shifty, a playmaker. He's averaging almost 7 yards a carry on the season thus far, and we're just going to keep coming back to this. The speed will absolutely be the key for Woodberry Forest. You get the ball into the hands of your speedy backs or speedy kick returners and just let them do what they do. 6.7 yards per carry, almost 200 yards so far in the season. And Minor's going to be key for the Tigers, who are taking the field as we speak right now.
Again, Minor wearing that number 1 jersey, very special here at Woodberry. We'll talk about that as we move through the broadcast. Also to watch, the quarterback for this Woodberry Forest team, Lindell Stone, kid out of Texas, but he can play here in Virginia.
We touched on the quarterback play being a key to this game for the Woodberry Forest Tigers, and Lindell Stone, the 6'2" sophomore out of Highland Park, Texas. He has 5 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing. He's an accurate quarterback, completing 67% of his passes, and a dual threat guy who can run it as well as throw it, and the leader of this offense going to be absolutely key as you get a look at his stats on the screen right there, with 348 passing yards and 62 on the ground, so he can do a little bit of both things, and his play is going to be absolutely critical.
Our 4th player to watch, a guy who'll be protecting our man Lindell Stone, Clark Yarborough, the right tackle for left tackle, for this Woodberry Forest team.
Now we've mentioned multiple times the size disparity, and this is where it does not matter. This is the exception to the rule. Of course, Clark Yarborough goes about 6'6", and big guy on the left side there. He'll maul you. He's coming off the line and just ready to hit you. And only in his 2nd year of organized football, Jeremy, and you would not know it watching that film right there.
Got all kinds of offers from different spots, but again, he's a good football player, can only get better considering how little experience he's had playing this game. Let's go ahead as we see the captains at midfield for the coin toss. We're going to go ahead, had a chance to catch it with both coaches before the game. Start things off with Benedictine's Greg Lilly, who caught up with our Monica Moore.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm standing here with Greg Lilly, head coach of the Benedictine team. Coach, you're playing Woodberry Forest today. What do you think the keys are against this team?
For us, it's always making sure that we get a running game going, defend good, do a good job defending against the run. This has become a good rivalry for us. The coaching staffs have a very good relationship. Clint and I are good friends, and it's a challenge for us. Every time we come here and play these guys, because they do such a good job preparing. And he's got great kids who are really well prepared each week and play really hard.
Your team has been so successful already so far this season. You're very balanced. You have a lot of depth. What do you think the keys have been that have led to that success from your team?
You mentioned the depth. I think the depth has been given us the ability to make kids compete in practice. So we've gotten better each day in practice. The kids are working hard, and they have a great attitude getting along with one another. Really good teammates this year. So we've got a very unselfish bunch. This will be our biggest test yet. So.
And you mentioned how unselfish they are. I know that's one thing that you have to be really pleased with just about this team from their character. What other things have you been most pleased with about on and off the field from this team?
Academically doing really well. We've 3 years ago academically some of our kids struggled a little bit. We've made a bunch of strides getting these kids working harder in the classroom. We've sort of structured practice a little differently so that they're all in study hall all the time, and they're really doing well academically. As I said, they're unselfish teammates. They really get along with one another, and they enjoy being around one another. We're on the bus rides coming up here. You'd think we were taking a trip to Kings Dominion or Busch Gardens, not going to play a football game, and that's fun to be around.
Coach, best of luck today.
Thank you very much.
The athletes in today's game are friendly.
Let's get it another quickly as we also talk to Clint Alexander before our matchup today.
All in attendance today.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm standing here with Woodberry Forest head coach Clint Alexander. Coach, a bit of a rivalry game for your team today, and Benedictine, a good team coming in. What do you think are going to be the keys for your team?
We'll have to face the test we're going to deal with how big and physical they are. They're a much bigger team than us on the offensive side of the ball. So if our little tiny defensive line can hang in there, we'll have a shot.
And, of course, last week you faced a similar opponent in Eastern Christian Academy. They're a large team. Your team really displayed a lot of heart. What do you think were the keys to victory in that contest?
Well, the kids stuck with the game plan. We had some success early, which I think gave us some confidence. And today, the difference with today is Benedictine's played us before. They know us better. They'll do different things. It'll be a tougher game today.
You have balance at the quarterback position. You have two different players that you can put out there. Can you talk about what it means to have that type of depth and what we can expect to see today from that position?
Well, we play them both. We have all year, actually for quite a few years. I know there's two rules. If you have two, you don't have one. I really believe you're all as good as the second one. So we play them both like they're starters, and they've both been productive. So they run the same game plan, so there's not much of a drop-off. So hopefully they'll both have success.
And your team has had a lot of success this year. What are you most pleased with, and why do you think they have been able to have such an amazing start to the season?
Got some good leadership. When you spend all winter reading your death certificate, it really motivates the kids in the off season. So I'm really proud of the fact that they've met the challenges so far. We're probably playing way above our head, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Well, best of luck today, Coach.
Thanks so much.
Our national anthem here at Woodberry Forest, and we are almost ready for football here on this artificial turf surface. Really only this in the practice field, Brian, the only artificial turf surfaces around this place. Everything else is just beautiful grass.
Yeah, and just immaculate when you drive onto this place and look to your left and your right, and there's a golf course and everything. It's just a beautiful course.
Wonderful. Taking a look at our starting lineup for Woodberry Forest. Again, we talked about the guys to watch in this one. Have to think the two guys in the backfield, Stone and Minor, got to play key roles to win.
Of course, quarterback and running back, pretty much the most important on the offense in terms of the skill position. They'll go offensively as they go with running behind their offensive line, and just it's going to be key what they can do.
Quickly on defense, the gritty little Tigers, we'll talk about that nickname in just a bit, but we're almost ready for football here at Woodberry Forest. Liam Hedge has it teed up back deep for it's Tennyson and Jones for Benedictine, and we are almost underway on this sunny day. The student section making noise to the left of us. Woodberry in black, Benedictine in white, and we are underway. High kick going to be taken by Tennyson. Hits off his hands into the end zone for another touchback on the year for Liam Hedge.
And the first kick, of course, you always like to see a return, but that's of course what you'd want to do as the kicker. And just talk about a beautiful day for football here, Jeremy. You know, just a few clouds in the sky, sunny, a little bit of wind is maybe picking up on our microphones and everything, but eager to get a look at this unconventional Benedictine offense as they hit the field right now, and Lacey's under center.
15th touchback on the year for Hedge, and Bracy under center. Has an I formation behind him. Tennyson is one receiver. It will blow this one dead and likely going to be a false start on Benedictine.
We talked in the open about the playmaker, Bracey, the quarterback who's committed as a wide receiver to Duke, who's also a defensive back and will run the ball and throw the ball and really kind of a do-it-all guy. And just to see how how Coach Lilly just uncorks his toy that he gets to play with on the offensive side there, starting things up here in this game. It's going to be fun to watch and see what these gritty little Tigers can do to stop them.
So Benedictine, a false start that's going to move it back 5 yards. They'll scrimmage from the 15-yard line. 1st and 15. Again, Bracey. Hands off up the middle. He'll be stopped for a minimal gain on the play and on the handoff. And let's go ahead and get it down to our Monica Moore.
Backup by number 6, Duke Sherrill.
Before the game, I had the option.
No.
Alexander about something.
Okay. So a 2nd and 13 here for Benedictine. And Bracey under center. Handed off again, and a tackle in the backfield. Jones going to lunge for it, maybe for about a half a yard, but not much more.
It was nicely done. It looked like it was Duke Sherrill in on the attack, and that's twice they've gotten penetration on this big Benedictine offensive line to cut him down in the backfield, bringing up this 3rd and long.
And again, 3rd and 12 here. Let's get it down to our Monica Moore quickly. Off tackle and around the end and stopped at the original line of scrimmage goes Jones. So a good stop for Woodberry on the play. Let's go again and try and get it back down to our Monica Moore.
Thanks, Jeremy. Before the game, I had the opportunity to talk with Woodberry Forest head coach Clint Alexander about some of the unsung heroes on his team, players that really have to step up today in order for his team to get the win. And without hesitation, he told me that you could pick out any member of his defensive line, but if he had to name just 2, he would say senior Ryan Kim and freshman Hunter Young. Both of them had huge games last week against Eastern Christian Academy in that David versus Goliath style matchup, and he said he expected the same out of them today. They rotate a lot of guys in on defense, and he told me these 2 players set the standard. They set the bar so high, and everyone else on the field and everyone coming in off the bench really emulates these 2 players.
1st down, Tigers.
And almost the fumble of the muff punt there by Tyrell, and Brian, probably some wind playing into that one.
Yeah, that ball went up in the air, and it almost stonewalled. It just stopped traveling forward, and Tyrell, who we noted as an excellent punt returner, has brought a couple kicks back so far this year, had to come up for it and just couldn't quite handle it. He couldn't quite judge how much the wind was going to take it. That's going to be a huge factor here this afternoon.
4 wides, for Woodberry Forest. Quick throw. That one's going to be caught. Roderick with a nice gain will be tackled inside the 30 down to the 26-yard line. Nice 15-yard gain to start things off.
And with the wind at his back, Lindell Stone showing off the cannon he's got attached to his right shoulder. Accurate, hard pass, and we'll see when they switch sides and start going into the wind how it looks. Take a look at the replay there, and just nice little juke move to pick up a couple extra yards and get this Woodberry Forest team moving.
Again, 1st and 10. Ball on the 28-yard line. Hand off to Minor. Off right tackle will eventually be brought down by Ellis Brooks, but not until he gains about 6 on the play.
So after that 3 and out for Benedictine to start the football game here, Woodberry Forest 2 plays and they're moving the football after avoiding that scare on that muffed punt. They did recover their own fumble and already approaching the red zone.
That's huge when you think about the fact that it could have been Benedictine. You get the stop and then give it right back. Instead, Woodberry down inside the red zone or just outside of the red zone at the 23-yard line. Scott back to throw, pressured, quick inside screen, going to be caught, hit, and brought down and fumbled and Woodberry looks like they're going to jump on top of it. Jack Sari ends up getting it, and that one going to the youngster, Khalid Thomas, just up from the JV team, trying to get his athleticism out there, but a little bit of a quickly, really some youthful exuberance, I guess we could say.
Maybe some jitters as you get your first touch of the game and trying to make something happen and kind of going east to west instead of north to south and almost losing the football.
And talked to Coach Alexander beforehand. He said, he's got athleticism. We're going to go and see. He's a quarterback for us on JV. We want to see what he can do up on the varsity. Stone, quick pass out in the flat. That one's going to be caught. Shea is going to have first down yardage and more all the way down to the 10-yard line. So the quick passing game working for Woodberry.
Nice little designed rollout, and Stone's just on the money with every throw so far, getting him going, getting your quarterback going early in this rivalry game, get some confidence, and keep moving that football along for a first down.
So the ball, just the nose of it, as you can see, right on the 10-yard line. So they've got to score a touchdown here. A goal-to-go situation. 4 wide receivers. Stone and Minor in the backfield in a pistol formation. Stone tried to change the play. He fumbles it, and Benedictine's going to get the ball back. He went to go ahead and audible and change the play. The center snapped it, and he wasn't ready.
Mikey McDonald looked like got in there and picked it up, and they can't dodge the bullets forever. That was the 3rd fumble already in this game. We've barely just begun and can't recover it every single time. As you'll see, it was miscommunication, and Stone walking up looking to his right. He didn't know the football was coming, and it hit him right in the gut, and he just couldn't jump on it in time. McDonald got there first, and it'll go back to the Cadets.
McDonald really the big play pass rusher for this Benedictine team. He's got a few offers, St. Francis, some Ivy Leagues as well. Had a big block punt last week against Bishop Ireton, was a really big play. So a 1st and 10 for Benedictine at their own 15-yard line after the turnover. Bracy stays at quarterback in the shotgun with Jones alongside. Man in motion goes across. And Bracy's going to look to run the option. He'll be hit and brought down, gets it back to the line of scrimmage, lunges forward with that big body for maybe a gain of 1.
The defensive front doing the work once again and not letting Bracy get going. The guy with the great speed, the quarterback, and nowhere to go as he maybe got a yard out of that and picking up where they left off, see if they can pick up their offense after they make the turnover in the red zone.
Talking about McDonald, really had a partner in crime on the other defensive end. That was Clellan Farrell earlier in the season. He's a commit to Clemson, but tore his ACL in a preseason scrimmage. So really that bookend passing, rushing attack not there. Bracy back to throw. He's going to throw it out in the flat. This one's going to be caught out at the 20-yard line. Anthony Roberson able to make the catch for a gain of 5.
And the tight end coming back to the football there, and a nicely thrown ball by Kevin Bracy. And we'll get another look at it here as he looks over to the left side out of the play action. Coming on the out route over towards the sideline, and just you got a big man out there, 6'5". He'll go up and get the football as he's racing towards the sideline.
So we're going to call this a 3rd and 4. Need to take it to the 25-yard line for a first down. Now moving into the backfield, Ellis Brooks at fullback, and he'll lead block for Bracy. Bracy's going to be hit and swarmed under. Initial contact coming from Hardin Lucas, cleaned up by Joseph Stevenson. Tried for the quarterback run, did not work.
And when you're overmatched in terms of size, like this Woodbury Forest team is, the tackling and getting to the ball quickly, extra contact, joining the penetration, just so key, and excellent job by them to force another 3 and out to get the football back, and we'll see if the wind comes into play on this punt as well.
Remember, Bracy the quarterback, also the punter, so always a fake possibility. High kick. Tyrell's going to go ahead and let it bounce, and hopefully his guys get out of the way of it, as eventually Benedictine will let it roll, gets a cadet roll down to the 41-yard line. So Woodberry will scrimmage from there. After that first good drive and good field position, they'll get another drive in good field position, and that was the key last week. Coach Alexander, when I had a chance to talk to him during the week, really said, hey, one of the reasons we were able to beat Eastern Christian last week is because we constantly had good field position. We were pitting them with touchbacks and good punting, and then we were returning the ball inside the 50, so always playing on short fields is always positive.
Yeah, when you got an electric return man back there like Terrell, and that's something that's going to happen. And the defense right now is doing the job more than anything. Of course, a little bit of aid from the wind as these punts have been short, and neither one has been returned yet.
Quick pass over the middle. That's going to go to King. He's going to run over to defender. He loses the ball. They'll say he's down around the 45-yard line. So that quick passing game, a gain of 13 yards. And Lindell Stone, an interesting guy, came from South Lake Carroll. Actually went to the middle school that fed into South Lake Carroll as we see this replay. And again, quick passing working.
And he's looked good so far off these drives here. And what's a little bit worrisome on the Woodberry Forest side, though, is the fact that the football keeps coming out at the end of the play. That one clearly down, as you could see, and the ground did knock the ball out.
Stone fakes the handoff. He'll keep around the end. Fakes out one man down to the 40, down to the 30, and eventually brought down just short of the 25-yard line. But Stone, as we see on the ground, and he may have fallen on his shoulder with the defender on his back, and that is not a good sign for Woodberry Forest.
And it was a great run. The young fellas got some moves and just taking a big hit at the end of it. We'll see if we can see exactly what happened to him. As you see the juke right there, just getting to the outside, and here's the hit coming right now. I think you're right, Jeremy. It's got to be that shoulder he got driven into the ground there, and it's no fault really of the defenses. It looked like a pretty good tackle by Ellis Brooks to track him down there. That's football sometimes.
Brooks 6'1", 225, and that's what happens sometimes. You play those bigger teams, a regular tackle turns into something worse, and his shoulder drooping a little bit, and we'll see if he's able to go. And that's one bad thing on that play, Brian, is it was his throwing shoulder he landed on. A lot of times if you bang up that left shoulder, if you're a righty, you're okay. Eventually it's going to hurt, but you can play through it. Not sure what's going to happen. He's going to get some treatment.
He's a big guy. He goes about 6'2", just under 200 pounds, but none of that really matters sometimes when you fall that way. And new quarterback into the game. This is going to be interesting.
Christian Zayton, the senior, has a lot of experience. We'll get to that in just 1 second. They'll hand off to Minor off left tackle. He'll be hit and brought down just across the line of scrimmage at the 25-yard line, actually the 26. And the interesting thing on Zayton, Brian, is the fact that really Coach Alexander, he says, I like to play too because sometimes one of your guys is going to get hurt. I like to get them both playing time, and that's what he's seen so far. Is he was kind of prophetic as he gets out there and has to play today due to injury.
That's an ominous quote there in the pre-broadcast talks that you've had with Coach.
Fakes the handoff, Zayton over the middle. This one's almost intercepted on the coverage. Parrish Gordon kind of jumped the route a little bit, a little miscommunication between the receiver and the QB, and almost another turnover for Benedictine.
Give you the numbers on Zayton so far this season, and he's appeared in all 4 games, 13 for 19 for 201 yards. We'll take another look at that one that was nearly intercepted. His next interception will be his first on the season. He's thrown 1 touchdown, has not been intercepted. So a guy that he has played in every single game, and he's a senior out of Raleigh. He's played a lot of football, and we'll see if he can lead this team with the starter on the sideline.
4:17 left to go in the first quarter. Zayton back to throw. Quick one out into the flat. Roderick makes the catch, and they're going to give him first down yardage down near the 16-yard line, just inside of it.
Tackle by number 30, Tyron.
Just keep moving that football. Next man up mentality, it seems like, and just finishing the drive is going to be key. We'll take another look at this quick throw to the left side with some pressure coming off the edge. You see the pass rusher slipping as that happened and getting down inside the red zone, and see if they can do with a fresh set of downs.
Shotgun formation with Zayton, Minor next to him. He'll fake the handoff, looks to throw, has to pull it down. Flag is down. This time it will be picked off by Benedictine. If they say he has the clean catch, they do. And it's Graham Flynn coming up with the pick. Let's see what the flag is.
It looked like it was coming off of that rush when the flag was thrown. My guess would be holding.
Yes, it is holding, so they'll decline that. And again, Woodberry takes it deep but turns it over.
See if we can pick up both the flag here and what went wrong on that pass. It was a nice job done escaping the pass rush, but throwing on the move, and he threw behind his intended receiver, and Flynn was just waiting for it.
That's that cardinal rule of don't throw across your body, and he broke it.
So, Jeremy, now that's 2 solid offensive possessions for Woodberry Forest that have ended with red zone turnovers. Finishing drive is going to be key.
Bracey under center for the Cadets. He'll hand off right tackle, staying on his feet as Jones eventually pushes forward out near the 15-yard line for a gain of 6.
Nice, strong running, keeping his feet moving as he plunged up the middle there. And one of the few positive gains we've really seen so far from Benedictine. As we take another look at that first play, of course, going with keeping the ball on the ground that deep in their own territory, trying to get a little bit more room for Bracy to operate.
So 2nd and 4 for Benedictine I formation. Jones is the deep back. Bracy has one receiver. That's Tennyson out to his left. Hand off Jones, off right tackle, runs over a few more men. He's going to have first down yardage out to the 20, and you have to wonder, the first few times it was Benedictine getting the penetration, and now it's more kind of just straight ahead, smash mouth football, Benedictine getting on those first 2 runs.
And Jones just hitting the hole hard and with speed, with power. The guy is going to be tough to bring down, and what we may be looking back at later in this game is these first 2 drives for Woodberry where they came out so strong defensively and offensively, and the turnovers being the key.
Again, handoff, Jones, off right tackle, brought down after a gain of 4. So again, 3 straight solid rushing plays for Benedictine and just kind of chewing up some yardage and a little bit of clock. 2:34 left to go in the first quarter.
Bringing up 2nd and 6, and at this rate, keep running until someone stops you, and just watch the way he hits this hole with such speed and keeping the nice balance as he did get tripped up to keep his body moving forward for a few more yards to bring up 2nd and 6.
Looked like Lionel Johnson came from his linebacker spot and got his foot, as you said, tripped him up. May have been a lot bigger gain if not for Johnson. Handoff, Jones looks to kick to the outside. He'll run into a wall of Tigers and be brought down right at the line of scrimmage.
Looked like it was Stevenson who was leading the charge there, and nicely done there by Woodberry Forest. Once again, getting that penetration after a few runs right down their throat. It seemed like they knew what was coming that time, and you take a look as they try to run the left side, and it's just a stack of black jerseys and a group leading the charge. It did appear to be Joseph Stevenson, the linebacker.
Look at the team's scoring average is pretty even on. Benedictine 32.9 on the year. Woodberry at 30. Though I got a feeling this may not be a type of shootout. Maybe too good defense for that to happen today. Shotgun formation for Bracy, and now they're going to throw the flag. And I believe this is going to go against the Cadets, and it will for a delay of game. And early on, Brian, we've seen it's been the penalties plaguing Benedictine. It's been the fumbles plaguing Woodberry Forest.
Yeah, 2 things that both coaches will tell you they want absolutely none of. Don't want to see the laundry on the field with the yellow flags and giving the ball away. Of course, you'll never score if you keep giving the ball away. So there has been a little bit of slide, but really it's been defensively nicely done by both sides. I mean, Benedictine's forced the turnover, and Woodberry has been great on the defensive front to get some penetration on these rushing plays, and the penalties, of course, will help.
Bracy going to run it from his quarterback spot. Got some room. He'll be brought down near the 30 just across it. So an 11-yard gain on 3rd and long on the quarterback run. Able to convert a first down for Benedictine.
Showing the athleticism that makes him such a dangerous player back there at the quarterback position on the keeper. And he hits the hole like somebody who has carried the football a lot. He doesn't look like, of course, a quarterback you would see scrambling and deciding that was a designed run. But now we have look there on the sideline at the injured starter for the Woodberry Forest, Lindell Stone.
Quick pass is going to be caught by Tennyson. He'll be hit and brought down across the 50 on the slant, but a big gain down to the Woodberry Forest 48.
You get another look at Stone there. It does not look like he's coming in to the game anytime soon. That shoulder wrapped up, and this game might have been turned over to Christian Zayton. Excellent pass by Bracy, showing the arm, and he's going into the wind right now, so really having to put some extra zip on that football to get it to its target and hit his man in stride.
Bracy joined by Julian Johnson in the backfield. Again, Bracy will look to run up the middle, spins off one tackle, can't spin off the second, and it'll end up with a gain of 2.
and stopping those runs for short gains, no gains, losses of yard, of course, key here for Woodberry Forest. They forced them into third and long situations. Bracy, of course, on the last one did run for that 11-yard gain on the first down, but the two prior drives just quickly forcing them in long situations and making it so that it's tougher to pick that up on the ground. Of course, with a guy like Bracy, he's going to be tough to keep down, but that's going to do it for the first quarter. And no scoring in the first quarter, Jeremy. I'm not sure that's quite what we expected going into this contest. You know, some teams that put up you saw the average just a moment ago. They put up over 30 points per game each, and that it's a defensive struggle so far.
Yeah, it has been, and really, we talked about it. The penalties hurting Benedictine, the fumbles hurting Woodberry Forest. Took 2 times down inside the red zone, couldn't convert because of turnovers, and they lose quarterback Lindell Stone again on the wrap on the sidelines. As we end up, let's take it on down to our Monica Moore on the sidelines.
Thanks, Jeremy. Just a quick injury update about number 18, Lindell Stone, who left the game. It looks like he suffered an injury to his right shoulder. I can tell you it looks pretty painful. He very stoically was sitting on the sideline as he was getting medical attention from the training staff. They removed his jersey and his pads, and they put his right arm in a sling, applied some ice to that right shoulder, and wrapped it up. I'm not sure that we'll see him back today. Again, it looked like a pretty painful injury. He is standing down on the sideline with his team.
Thank you, Monica. And again, not good news for Woodberry Forest. It looks like he's going to run this one the rest of the way for the Tigers. Bracy takes his team out in a 2nd and 8 here. I formation behind him. It's Brooks and Jones. Pitch it out to Jones, looking to get to the corner, and he'll be hit and brought down, and a flag down as well. What a play by Duke Sherrill to come up from the linebacker spot and cut those legs out.
He had a nose for the football there and just an excellent tackle. We'll wait on the call to see what it is.
It's going to be a hold. And the question will be whether Woodberry Forest is going to take the play, and they'll go ahead and take the penalty. Maybe an interesting call here. A second would have been 3rd and 8, but I guess after watching Bracy as we see the play here.
Look at him force his way through the block there and just get down, knock down the ball carrier. That's just excellent tackling.
Effort defense from this Woodberry Forest team, but after we saw Bracy earlier on that 3rd and 11 convert, maybe Coach Alexander saying, hey, I'm going to make them go longer this time.
Well, they have the ability to pick up gobs of yards in single plays, and you do give them an extra play with which to work, but confidence in the defense here. Let's see what they can do on 2nd and long.
3 wide receivers. First time we've seen this formation now, man in motion. That's Brooks. Handoff, Jones again hit in the backfield by Sherrill, and he's having a few meetings in the backfield today, and I don't like Mr. Jones likes the results.
Duke Sherrill just forcing his way to the football 2 plays in a row, and that'll show you why you take the penalty there and just keep pinning him further back. No one blocked him. He just came in, forced his way, got low, got underneath the attempt on the blocks, and brought the ball carrier down as soon as he got the handoff.
The gritty little Tigers, that's the nickname of this defensive line, Brian. You alluded to it in the pregame. The biggest starter, just 206 pounds. They play 300-pounders all the time, but still are successful.
Hey, they're used to doing it, and they're showing you why they've had success with that speed and surprising strength.
Sullivan now in at the quarterback spot. He'll throw it up deep. And incomplete as he was looking for Donovan Tennyson, and I think the wind affected that ball as it looked like Tennyson had a step, and that ball just carried as it was going with the wind.
And we talked a little bit about in the pregame the fact that Bracy has caught a few passes. He was lined up as a wide receiver, of course, where he will play in college at Duke, and you're right again about the wind. It's kind of unpredictable at this point. There are gusts that are kicking up. You look at the flags over to our left, both on top of the goalposts and the American flag and the Woodberry Forest flag behind it. And it's just kind of a beeline going right across the field right now. As we take a look, see it's almost erect and just going straight forward. And right now it will be at the back of Bracy as he punts.
A bunch formation. We saw them fake a few weeks ago. Bracy's going to get this one away, a high kick. See if Tyrell looks for the catch. He's going to get away from it and let it go into the end zone for a touchback. So good net punt there, but once they go ahead and average it all out, it won't be that good as it'll be Woodberry starting off at their 20-yard line.
It looked like Tyrell couldn't quite get himself square as he was trying to go back for that, and the punt's going to carry when it's coming from that side of the field, and I think that's what Nathaniel's going to have to learn. It wasn't the prettiest punt. It's kind of end over end, as you alluded to, but take a look at him. He just keeps going back for it. He can't quite get himself square and didn't want to try and field that. As you remember, on the first punt, it was muffed, and they almost lost the football, almost lost possession, so they'll start it at the 20-yard line.
And again, I'm sure Coach Alexander, coaches of the special teams, is more than fine with not risking a turnover and taking the ball at the 20-yard line. Minor on the cutback up the middle, runs over a man, the safety taking the blow, and he'll be brought down out of the 34-yard line. A 14-yard gain and an emphasis on the end of it for H.T. Minor.
Harold Minor, DC guy nearby, and just running with speed and power. He goes at just 5'9", just over $170, but you wouldn't know it with the way he finished that run, falling forward, feet constantly moving. Big gain on the first play of the drive.
I think Graham Flynn, the sophomore safety, took the brunt of that one, and obviously he caught it the HT train, if you will. It's two receivers each way. Again, handoff to Minor, bouncing outside to the left. He'll push forward to the 40, so another nice gain of around 5, out just short of that 40-yard line.
Off the left tackle, got the edge he wanted, and knew that the way he would get the yards was to turn it upfield and just get as many before contact at that point. Fast guy, but wasn't going to beat everybody to the edge that time, and just showing you his blend of power and speed. Talented ball carrier in the backfield for the Tigers.
Woodberry sidelines, and then some of those stickers we saw, some of the international players on this team have I suppose the American flag, have the country of origin, Canada. I know one player from the Bahamas as well, his place of birth. Handoff Minor, off left tackle, lunges forward, going to be really close to the sticks, and I think he's going to have it.
Just an interesting place as you talk about those different flags, and all people coming from all over the place to play their football or whatever have you, or just attend school here. It's a little bit unusual for someone who may have come from the public schooling background as you take a look at really the nose for the first down there from H.T. Minor, and he will pick up the first down as they move the chains, but it's sports bringing you together. Who cares where you're from? You're here to play football.
Woodberry Forest, such a prestigious school, been around for so long, played 116 years of football. Zayton looking deep. This one's going to be incomplete. Intended to receiver was Ingram. Kind of caught the worst for wear as he went up for it, but luckily no interception on the play, as that one kind of thrown up for grabs.
Floated a little bit going into the wind. We take another look, steps up into the pocket, and a lot of dangerous pass to make as it ended up being 4 white jerseys converging on the football there versus just the 2 in black, and luckily that one falls harmlessly to the turf.
Zayton will send 3 wide receivers to his right, 1 to his left. That's Roderick. Roll out pass, looking for the open receiver. King almost makes a great catch, but can't get those hands to stick like glue and drops it, bring up a 3rd and 10.
Designed rollout there, and the throw just a little bit low, almost a great catch. And we see it seems like they're a little bit out of sync since the quarterback Zayton came into the game for the injured Stone. As you'll take a look at what he does, he's throwing on the move, and it just nose dive a little bit on him. Did hit his receiver on the hands, but tough play and almost perfect execution on that one.
Again, that's the reason Zayton in. Lindell Stone on a scramble play, actually a design run, fell on his shoulder with the weight of a defender in front of him. Draw to Minor. He's got first down yardage. Actually went backwards, lost it. Then coming from behind, one of the defenders hits him, but a flag is down. And we'll see what this is. Probably going to be offensive holding, you'd have to think, even though it is in the defensive backfield.
Well, the flag came out right around the time he made that cut towards the outside, the sideline. They're discussing things, and yes, indeed, it is a hold going against the Tigers.
So this is interesting. He got past the sticks. The flag was deep in the backfield.
And there's the flag coming in at the absolute end of that play when he cut towards the sideline, but we'll bring up 3rd down and 9 here.
So again, they're going to mark the 10 off from the end of the run. So as Brian said, a 3rd and 9. Nice crowd here at Woodberry Forest for this nice matchup between the Tigers and Benedictine. Blitz coming off to Minor. He's going to get the ball back to near the line of scrimmage, but no more. As again, it was Mikey McDonald, the pass rushing specialist, for Benedictine, getting back and putting the pressure on Zayton.
Blowing up that screen play as Zayton just kept dropping back, trying to get things set up for Minor, and we'll watch him coming in from the outside linebacker position there and really gave him no chance to set things up, and excellent tackling as well once he did get that pass away. They're flying to the football, looked like it was Thomas Dunn.
Looked like some movement there, but it's not called. And now ball's going to take the Benedictine bounce, will be stopped. So really not much possession gained, field position gained, I should say, by Benedictine there, as it'll be, or by Woodberry Forest, as Benedictine will go ahead and scrimmage from their 35-yard line. 8:06 left to go. Still a scoreless tie between these two teams. Woodberry Forest, Benedictine, both with nice football traditions. Actually, one of the most famous alum from Benedictine, a very good football coach, Bobby Ross, of course, former coach that took the San Diego Chargers to the Super Bowl, won a national championship at Georgia Tech. Also led the University of Maryland program for a long time. So one of their famous alums, a lot of famous alums for Woodberry Forest. And guys are playing in the pros and college right now. We'll get into those maybe later in the broadcast. Bracy, quick pass out in the flat. Tennyson has it. He'll be hit and brought down. Terrell and some help, but he gets it across the 40 for a gain of 5.
Positive yards on the first play of the drive have been a rarity so far for Benedictine. And picking up chunks is the quick pass immediately. It's his first read, throwing on the out route over there, and Tennyson tried to make a couple of guys miss, but it didn't get much more than a yard after the catch was made there to bring up 2nd and 5.
Probably a really big drive here for Benedictine because Woodberry Forest deferred. They'll get the ball to start the second half. And handoff, that one goes up the middle, and not much doing for Jones.
Flag came at the very end of that play, Jeremy. It looked like the play went for maybe a gain of a yard.
There'll be a hold, and Woodberry going to go ahead and push him back.
You saw them do this on the last possession as you see the play that really results in not much, and the hold, I think, was right there right around where the tackle was made. It looked like it was Julian Johnson. Got flagged for it.
And that's always just those killers. So it's one thing when there's a big play and there's a hold, you understand. But when it's a no-game play and you're holding anyway, then it's kind of like, why'd you have to hold him? Just push us back. So now, again, a switch up at the quarterback spot. Bracy going to go to wide receiver, and Sullivan will play at the quarterback. Waldrop, the guy's been playing most of the time in backup of Bracy. He's not in it. Sullivan this time will run. He'll be brought down back near the original sticks, about 2 yards past it, as Stevenson ends up making the tackle.
Bracy lined up there on the outside on the left receiver position, almost kind of as a decoy, it seemed like, because you set that up in a designed run for the number 2 quarterback coming into the game. So as Bracy lines up here back at the quarterback position with this 4 wide receiver set.
Bracy over the middle. Sullivan makes a heck of a catch. He takes his stick, but still end up getting a big gain and a first down on the play.
Nicely done on that 3rd down and 8 play. Quick pass left side, and he's got a cannon. He does. You can see what makes him so dangerous at the quarterback position, the do-it-all guy, and just zings that one into there to double coverage. Great catch made to pick up the first down.
So Benedictine back in Woodberry Forest territory. Again, a 1st and 10 with 6:19 left to go. Another flag is down. Bracy is going to roll, looks to throw deep. Sullivan goes up, makes the catch down at the 1-yard line, but this one came out quickly, and the referee saying hold the stakes, probably coming back.
Now that flag went down as soon as the ball was snapped. It's a heck of a catch that will probably be washed out.
A legal formation.
So it was something that he knew as soon as you see the replay here. We'll see if we can see the flag coming in from the near side. There it is right away. You can see, so it was something that you knew was going to happen. This play just completely null and void, but an excellent throw. And look at the timing to go up and get that catch right around the 2-yard line. Is a huge gain that is all for naught, and it will just bring up a 1st and 15.
Michael Davenport was on that coverage, so as you said, it'll be 5 yards back and no big play. But that's the issue with this Benedictine team, is they are a big play offense just by some of the athletes they put out on the field.
It was good coverage out there, but Davenport really didn't have much of a chance at that. It was excellently timed on the jump and the pass.
Sullivan on the run, up the middle. He'll be hit and brought down back near the original line of scrimmage as Sherrill makes another nice play.
So he almost got back the yardage that they lost on that first down penalty. As you'll see, once again, a designed run for Sullivan in as the quarterback. And Bracey once again split out wide on the left side. And we'll see if they do anything exotic. Maybe one of the next times we'll get a look at Bracey lining up on the far side once again. This time he's in the slot, beg pardon, on the near side.
4 receivers in total. Sullivan up the middle. Breaks one tackle, can't break the second, and a good job. I believe it was Stevenson. They always tell you grab cloth. That time he grabbed the shirt tail and would not let him go. It could have been a much bigger gain.
Anything you get a hold of, you got to bring him down somehow. And it's 2 plays in a row. Sullivan in at quarterback, and he's just running it right up the middle. And you'll wonder if Woodberry Forest maybe gets a little bit complacent when they see that coming in, maybe think that that's going to happen. That's when maybe you do something different with Bracey.
So 3rd and 7 here. Call it 3rd and 6, and a timeout can be taken by Benedictine with 4:45 left to go here in the half. And we mentioned it quickly, the fact that it's big for Benedictine here because they may not get the ball back as they give it back over to Benedictine, and the Tigers are back over to Woodberry Forest, and the Tigers actually have the ball to start the second half as they're able to go ahead and defer on that first opening kickoff.
It would be absolutely ideal for Woodberry Forest if they could make the stop here, get it, and get points going into halftime, because then you get the football back, and if you score 2 consecutive possessions without giving the football to Benedictine, then you're in good shape.
Some sights from the Woodberry Forest campus, very historical area here, not far down the road from Charlottesville and Monticello, home of Thomas Jefferson, but some of the beautiful scenery around here. And obviously they've got some very modern buildings, some very old school type things, the barn and the water tower over on the campus, but just acres and acres of lush area here at Woodberry Forest.
It's a nice drive coming down from the DC area and making the drive down here today, and it's just, on a beautiful day where it's, in the fall like this, and you drive by sites like that, and it's, kind of a little gem nestled here in what you might think of as the middle of nowhere, but here's the middle of somewhere.
3rd and 6, we'll call it. Need to take the ball down to the 32 for a first down. Bracey gonna run, looks to get to the outside. He's gonna have first down yardage just barely as he takes a big shot going out of bounds, but he gets across the sticks, and Benedictine will keep things moving.
Looked like a little read option play there and showing the speed and the power as he got to the edge, and then he kept driving forward here to the shotgun with not quite a read option, but more of a designed run as he drags the defender to the first down with the hands around his hips. But picking up yardage for Benedictine and moving into Woodberry Forest territory.
Tigers showing a 4-man front. Benedictine 2 wides each way. Sullivan and Johnson in the backfield, and again a flag goes down. This time a false start on the Cadets.
Penalties. They're shooting themselves in the foot, Jeremy, and that's twice now on this drive that a first down they've lost yardage on it, had to bring up a 1st and 15, just giving yards away from this time a false start, the other one an illegal procedure, illegal formation, and those are simple things.
So 1st and 15 here, need to get it down to the 22 for a first. Sullivan back at quarterback this time. Bracey back out at wide receiver. Sullivan drops the snap, picks it back up, looks over the middle. Now he's going to try and scramble, but he will not. He's brought down by 2 or 3 Tigers after a loss of 2 on the play.
Now, it's been a few times that Sullivan is lined up there in the backfield as the quarterback with Bracey split out. That I believe was the first intended pass play, but he didn't get the snap. He didn't field the snap, and that one was doomed as soon as he dropped it. We've seen a couple of that happen with snaps that did not get completed successfully, and again losing yards, going the wrong way on 2nd and long now.
Second and long here for Benedictine. Sullivan up the middle on the quarterback run. He'll push the pile forward just a little bit, but not much more. Give him a gain of 4 on the play.
Strong legs for Sullivan there to even get those extra yards, as it was a big group of Woodbury Forest Tigers who met him and kept moving forward. Big guy who's clearly got some strong legs on him. Looks like he's going to stay at quarterback. Take another look at this as another designed run, and he meets the group right there and ends up pushing about 2-3 guys before the group of Tigers, the group of those black jerseys, come in and finish it off.
We'll call it 3rd and 12. Need to get the ball down inside the 22 for a first. Bracey's back at quarterback, rolling to his right, going to look and throw deep. That one is close, but incomplete. Is trying to get that 1 foot down was David Pilot, and a good play by the Woodbury Forest defensive back to hit him before he could get it down.
Bracey put it where only his receiver could get the football as we throw to the wide and take another look on this designed rollout immediately for the athletic quarterback for the Cadets. The throw, and we'll see if he does get that foot down. Nope, great call by the official as that right foot came down out of bounds before the left one came down that was closer to the sideline and might have tapped down, but he was already out of bounds and already an incomplete pass.
Davenport on the coverage. Coming in for the field goal, Cameron Kugel. It's a long one, going to be 52 yards, but he is kicking with the wind. Kick is up. That's not going to have the distance. It's going to be short into the end zone. And that should go to the 20 by high school rules. And that's one of the interesting things, that sometimes it's worth taking that long field goal. It doesn't go back to the spot in high school. It goes to the 20. So it's really almost like a punt.
Not as much of a risk to take the field goal there. As you saw, they did put Davenport there back to potentially return the kick in. That is a long attempt. As I believe it was about a 59-yard attempted field goal that he got a lot of leg on it, but maybe probably a 52-yard field goal. He got a lot of leg on it, but did not get it all the way to the field goal, but turn it over and pretty much just a punt, like you said.
Yeah, but again, worth the risk, especially on a day like this. New running back into the game, up the middle goes Alex Williams, I believe. Actually, no, that would not be Alex Williams. That's number 25, Evans Revere, and a nice gain of 8 on the play. 2:06 and rolling here in the first half. Let's see how Woodbury decides to play. Again, they have the second half kickoff. Zayton hands off Revere up the middle, runs into his own man. He's going to be near the sticks, and I think he just gets it across the 30.
Get a look, I guess, at this 2-minute offense, and memory serves, the scoreboard here shows that all 3 timeouts remaining, but memory serves there was a timeout taken earlier by Woodbury Forest, so see if they try and put it in the air at all with Zayton.
Zayton in the shotgun, has a wing one way. Minor back in the game, running to his left, runs over a man, again H.T. Minor, and again it was the safety Graham Flynn taking the brunt of an H.T. Minor run.
He's fun to watch run with the football. That kid can play. Let's look at it again. Hand off, and he immediately takes it out the right side, and he's looking for someone to hit right there. Shortens up the steps, loads himself up, knocks down the defender, and keeps moving for another 5 yards.
Minor, 5'9", 173. Little package, but packs a punch. And now a flag goes down. You're going to say false start.
Penalty on Woodbury Forest, false start.
I guess they're going to say someone on the line moved, because I would think the backs could have moved that way and got set again, but they didn't let them. That makes it 1st and 15. The clock is running again with 1:10. Zayton in the pistol with Minor behind him. 2 wide receivers. As a tight end. Fakes the handoff. Zayton out into the flat. This one is completed to Roderick. He'll be undercut by the defensive back and gains 4 on the play.
Still a long way to go, and we're under 50 seconds remaining here in the second quarter in the first half, Jeremy, and you wonder if they're going to play for it to try to get some points, if get themselves in some form of field goal range, take a shot at the end zone, and now a timeout taken after a solid 20 seconds, it felt like, ran off after that play was completed before the timeout was called.
Replay here.
So you look at the rollout, and it was a nicely designed and completed play, but no way to get to the sideline there to stop the clock and just pick up those 5 yards they lost on that first play on the penalty there on that 1st and 15 before the timeout's called. They seemed like that they must not have liked what they had out there set up, felt like that they couldn't get the correct play off. Get another look at the injured quarterback Lindell Stone, who was actually, he carried the waters out to the huddle, wants to be involved in this, the sophomore who started this game and has a shoulder injury. He's now in a sling there.
There's Roderick joining him. He was down on the field during that timeout. He tried to come off the field and didn't really get all the way over there. They take the timeout more for timing purposes than injury purposes, but really the walking wounded stacking up a little bit for Woodberry Forest. That may be to be expected when you play a team the size of Benedictine after playing a team like Eastern Christian last week. And we see the replay here, and again, he gets undercut and takes a pretty big hit.
And it's tough to see.
Handoff on the sweep, getting to the outside. That's Thomas, the youngster. Can he get all the way to the corner? Thomas at the 20. He'll be tripped up out of bounds down near the 10-yard line. And the youngster, Thomas, he gets brought up from the JV team where he played quarterback. Well, he makes a big play from the wide receiver spot with his legs.
The freshman with the speed on the end around the sweep there and just gets the edge and turns on the Jets. He almost got away to get all the way. The diving attempt that tripped him up. Excellent job done there by Kajon Coley to get a hand on his foot, or else he might have broke that into the end zone.
The man comes out late. Surprised that's not 12 men in the huddle. Actually, that's because one of the guys, they had 11. Now King comes on. So actually 11 were in the huddle. They switched after the huddle. So interesting, but that's legal. Zayton looking to throw. Thomas can't bring in the slant pattern. Would have had a score.
And for a guy who's been playing quarterback on the JV, not quite used to catching that pass as much, just brought up to the varsity, as you mentioned, Jeremy, and he brought up for the athletic ability and the speed and try to get to the ball to them on a nicely designed route, and the throw just a little bit high. It's a tough catch to make. It was put there where only his receiver could get it, though. So an incomplete pass, of course, better than anything that could potentially be intercepted. But a nice route run, actually, though, by Thomas to get the inside edge.
Woodberry still some timeouts in the back pocket. Hand off to Minor, up the middle. He's going to be stoned right at the line of scrimmage, and Woodberry's going to have to take a timeout here, as that'll bring up a 3rd down. And they tried with the run because they thought they could pop one as they had timeouts remaining, but it was Minor ends up getting popped really for the first time today.
Rare to see him getting hit and not be the guy sending the defense falling backward, and he's the one who stonewalled completely. Couldn't get any momentum going on that handoff there, and just 19.2 remaining here, Jeremy. It's at a tough spot for a potential field goal. We'll see if they try and go for the end zone here on the 3rd and 9. Get another crack at it, or get it all centered up to try and take a potential field goal to get points going into the half.
William Humphreys coming onto the field. Moving those wide receiver pairings a little bit. Thomas out there with Humphreys, also joined by King. And good news, Roderick back out on the field, so he got his injury looked at, and he's back. Zayton in as the quarterback, in for the injured Lindell Stone. Minor is your running back. 19.2 left in the half. Zayton tries for the quick screen. It's incomplete, as they were again looking for Thomas. And so now, decision time, and looks like it's not much of a decision. Quickly sprinting out on the field was the kicker, Liam Hedge. And normally what would be a pretty, not easy field goal, but a makeable one, maybe not so much kicking into this wind, Brian.
Yeah, the gusting wind is not blowing as hard as it has at certain times here in this first half of football that we've been watching and bringing to you here. But going to be a tough one from that left hash as well.
Interesting, Benedictine going to go ahead and take the timeout. Don't know if this is just an icing situation or whether they're going to try and maybe set up a block here.
Could be both. We'll get another look at that third down play, and Benedictine's done a nice job of breaking up any potential screens. Excellent job done coming in there and tipping the intended pass by Matthew Vergara. Got his hands on it, extended them up there, and just made it so there was no way that any positive gain could be had from that play.
So Woodberry will come back out. Again, 15.6 seconds. The one thing if you're Hedge, I think you want to tell him is, hey, there's a lot of size over the other side. Not that much height, but get the ball up in the air. The last thing we want to have happen is them block it and maybe run it back, especially with all the athletes on the other side for Benedictine. Zayton's the holder. Hedge's kick, it's up. And will he fit it inside? He does. So the ice is broken by kicker Liam Hedge on the field goal. And Woodberry on top 3-0 with 10.7 to go here in the half.
Wind kicked up right about the time the ball was snapped, and it hit a little bit of a wall, but it powered right through and got it high enough, just as you said, Jeremy, to make it so it could not be blocked. You got to look at, they were coming to block it, and he just got it over the intended, well, the rush they're coming in on him, but 3 points going into half with just over 10 seconds remaining, and that will be huge, huge for Woodberry Forest here as they will get the football back after these 10-7, but of course, got to make sure that you don't let one get run back on you here.
And it's a tough situation as Hedge, again, kicking into the wind. He's been a touchback machine. He added one to his total of 14 coming into the game today. But that's the issue with all the athleticism for the Cadets. Not only are you risking a return, getting a cheap touchdown here, if you kick it short and squib it, you've got a quarterback that in Bracey or one of the other guys that probably could get it to the end zone on a Hail Mary.
We've seen the arm from Bracey, especially on the one play that comes to mind is that one that was washed out for the illegal formation where he was rolling and evading the pressure and got it all the way down from where he threw it from about his own 40, 45-yard line. So you're right, he's got an absolute cannon.
Tennyson and Jones are back deep. Wind still stiffly blowing. Seeing the Woodberry and American flags kind of going. It will be a high kick, and he'll get it through the wind anyway. What a kick by Hedge. When it was needed, he comes up large.
He took a little bit of loft off of that. It wasn't a squib kick. It was up in the air, but he kind of made sure it was a line drive because the hang time with the wind like this, that's when it will get knocked down, and didn't want anybody to return that one. So now we'll see if there are maybe a couple of heaves towards the other end of the field to possibly get some points here for Benedictine, but very nicely done.
Woodberry looking to remain unbeaten on the season, coming to this one at 4-0, and they had the lead right before the half. Bracey under center. He's going to hand it off to Jones, who pushes to the outside. Will be brought down, and Coach Lilly just going to let this one run out. So that'll bring us to the half with the Cadets Benedictine trailing the homestanding Woodberry Forest Tigers by a score of 3-0. A hard-fought game, a little bit of mistake-filled game as we move forward. The Tigers really, they had the problems with turnovers. Maybe could have made this a bigger game than it has been. On the other side of things, obviously, Benedictine with the penalties that really hurt them in the contest.
Well, remember, for Woodberry Forest, first two possessions they had, they drove the football inside the red zone and turned it over, and it's that's gonna kill you every single time. It'll take away the momentum and take away any chance to put points up on the board, and that's what happened for Woodberry Forest their first couple of times. And on the other side for Benedictine, it's been the penalties. They keep shooting themselves in the foot and giving away yards, taking away big gains. I mentioned right before that last drive that turned out to just be the one handoff, the arm that we saw out of Bracey on a play where they got washed out, where he eluded the pass rush and threw all the way down towards the goal line, a huge gain of about 30, 40 yards that was washed out, and those penalties killed him.
Yeah, and just it's been that game of kind of mistakes and early on. But again, it's been a hard-fought game, and that's kind of what you had to expect, Brian Gardner, Jeremy Huber here with you, up high above the stands here at Woodberry Forest. But I think you had to expect that just because of the way that Woodberry Forest plays. that's what Coach Alexander preaches. It's effort. It's always effort on this team, and we see a couple plays. Here's the rule on the key plays of the game. Lindell Stone, the quarterback for Woodberry Forest, falling on that shoulder with the defender on top of him, has not been back in the game, and hopefully it's not a season-type ending thing, but it was a tough injury for him. Now, the other quarterback, Scott Bracey, a little bit more known for his running ability, but early on, nothing there because of the Woodberry defense.
You're seeing the way they have a nose for the football. They get to the ball carrier and they drive him down, and it's rarely just one guy making the play. There's groups of black-clad Woodberry Forest Tigers in the orange and black coming in to make these stops, as we'll see again. There's one of the great individual efforts actually that time from Duke Sherrill, who had a few of those plays, but the two Duke Sherrill tackles are really the only two times we've seen an individual type tackle like that. It's groups that are going in there and bringing down the football, bringing down the ball carrier, and on the other side running the football with fury. In the backfield is H.T. Minor. That kid can play.
Yeah, Minor again bouncing one to the outside, another lick. He laid a few licks on the center of the safety, Graham Flynn for Benedictine, 2 really hard runs. And then, of course, at the end of the half, it was the field goal going through the uprights for Liam Hedge. And Hedge has been big for this team all year long. And, again, big today as he's put the only points on the board. Now, Woodberry Forest doing a little differently than some as they go ahead and meet right after or before they go in and talk to their team. The coach is having a meeting right here on the sidelines. Monica Moore waiting around to see if Coach Alexander will give her a talk, maybe give her a little lowdown on what happened in the meeting. But again, been an interesting first half so far as, again, it's been the athleticism of Benedictine versus that hustle and gritty play of Woodberry Forest, and it's been a dead heat.
Yeah, it's an interesting defensive struggle because there have been yards that have been gained, but either way.
Let's get it down to Monica Moore along with our coach Clint Alexander of Woodberry Forest.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm here with Woodberry Forest head coach Clint Alexander. Coach, first I wanted to ask you about that big run by the freshman Khalid Thomas that helped set up the field goal. Can you talk about that play?
Well, it saved us. We brought him up because we think he's a pretty special kid. He's a better student he is a player, but he's a heck of a player. We put that in this week. He came through for us. Obviously, you lose your starting quarterback early, sends a shockwave. We talked at the beginning. That's why we always play 2. Kids just kind of keep plugging and playing, and I'm shocked we've held them so far defensively, but we're going to keep trying to hang on.
Well, as you just said, it was a hard-fought battle in the first half. What adjustments are you looking to make?
Well, if we get bigger at halftime, we would. I think we're fine. We actually made a couple mistakes. They had that big pass. We were in the wrong defense. And so if we just make execute better, no mental mistakes. We missed a block down here on the tunnel screen that we thought we had a chance on. The guy went and blocked the wrong guy. So we just got to execute a little bit better.
We've talked about how your team recovered after the injury. What else were you most pleased with about in the first half?
Well, I'll stick with that. When I'm watching a kid who loves football as much as anyone I've ever seen, and he's filling up the water bottles with his shoulder taped up. So I'm pretty pleased with that. No one panicked. We didn't stop playing. We just kind of keep plugging along.
Best of luck in the second half, Coach.
Thanks, Monica. Here at the half, Woodberry Forest leading Benedictine 3-0. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with the second half right after this.
My name's Harrison Stewart. I'm the Director of Admissions at Woodberry Forest School and also a member of the class of 1998. This fall we are celebrating our 125th anniversary. It's been 125 years that motivated boys have been coming to Woodberry Forest, and if you have someone in your family or if you know of someone who may have some interest in attending Woodberry Forest or just taking a look, don't hesitate to be in touch. The process runs all the way through the fall up until February 1st, which is our first round application deadline, and we're here to be helpful to you. We'd be delighted to have you to campus. Come spend the night on dorm, go to a couple of classes, and see what it's all about. See why guys have been coming to Woodberry for 125 years and what makes us.
Greetings from Woodberry Forest School and the Alumni Office. My name is Dodi Chavez. I'm the Director of Alumni Relations and a graduate of the class of 1985. This opening school year marks the 125th anniversary of Woodberry educating boys. And all throughout the year, we will be commemorating this great accomplishment by coming to visit your area. Please go to the website and look to see where we will be. If your graduating year ends in a 4 or a 9, please mark your calendar for next spring. April 25th through 26th is your reunion. You will not want to miss it. I also encourage you to get involved with your regional association. Just go to the website and check out all of our alumni regional associations and see where you can help.
I don't care what happens. They're going to make some plays, they're going to have some success, but you know what? We're going to keep coming back. We're going to come back and we're going to come back. There's going to be a little orange wave of death. We're going to get after these people. We're going to let them know what it means to come here and play football against us, because they drove a long way to play you. You got to remember that. You don't appreciate who you are and what this name means and what this school means. That's who they're playing today. 113 years of you, of people like you that do the sacrifices that other people don't do, that study at night.
At Woodberry Forest, I'd say it's the tradition of the program. You know, how much the alumni love it, how much the students love it during the season, how much it means to the school. And next season will be our 115th year of football, so it's a long storied tradition that, you know, we're proud to carry on. Well, the students here at Woodberry come here for a reason. No one comes to Woodberry to be average. You know, you come here to be special. You're going to be pushed. You're going to work as hard or harder than anybody in the country. You know, when we get the boys down to practice, you know, it took me 3 years to realize practice isn't the hardest part of the day at Woodberry. It's the academic day. And so once we've embraced that, changed what we do, how we practice, we're 47-7. You know, we want to make sure practice is something that I look forward to. We're playing music. We try to run a practice as close to a college practice as we can. And it's really paid off for us.
And great look at the Woodberry Forest program. Again, Coach Alexander really just loves this program, Brian, and we talk a little bit about the guys. We mentioned the famous alums for Benedictine. Right now, Coach Alexander has 2 players in the NFL. Ed Reynolds plays for the Eagles, a free safety, played at Stanford. Kendall Gaskins is running back that played at Richmond, playing for the 49ers. Also has 3 players at Notre Dame as well. Greer Martini, Randolph also. CJ Procise plays a lot for the Fighting Irish as well. So, and I remember I talked to him this week, and he had said to me that really, you know, coaching high school football, never thought you'd be looking at all these guys moving on, especially here at Woodberry Forest, but it's been a really good program. And one of the things he really mentioned was because of the way this school is, it is a high-level academic institution. It is a 6-day-a-week school institution. So you're going to school on Saturday afternoon, as we see some of the buildings on campus. We get to the team stats in a second, but that is a big deal around here. But the kids are driven, and obviously you're driven when you go ahead and get that deep into an NFL and a college career. Those team stats, these are their averages coming in: 124 rushing per game, 137 passing per game, and the 1.3 sacks per game, 30 points. I don't think they're going to get to that. I think they're close on the rushing today. I don't have the official stats in front of us, but the passing so far today, that's been a little bit spotty, especially early on where the Tigers had some good stuff out of Stone, but he gets hurt. Zayton comes in, hasn't played bad, but really looked like Stone was clicking pretty good until the shoulder injury put him down.
Yeah, especially that play that he got hurt on. He made a couple of guys miss, and that almost turned out poorly for him because he got all the way down there and ended up getting driven down. And you know, it's a good football team. He talked about Coach Alexander and the pride in his program. He has reason to be. I mean, these guys can play some football, as you see what they've done so far this season. And of course, you're right. The point totals almost definitely not going to get up to what they did against Flint Hill, Eastern Christian, things like that today. But they're showing that they can move the football. They just haven't finished the drives.
And really, you look at the games coming up, a couple battles in the Prep League. They're looking to win their 7th title in 8 years there. And then the big one at the end of the season against Episcopal. That one, it's the 113th playing of that game this year. You talk about a rivalry that goes back forever. That is one of them. And really, that's the reason that Woodberry Forest, Benedictine ranked number 1 in the VISAA standings, the independent schools, private schools basically in Virginia. Woodbury Forest doesn't play in their playoffs because that Episcopal game is on the weekend of the first round of the playoffs. It's a little bit of the same scenario like you see with Southern and Grambling, where they play the Bayou Classic every year as opposed to going into the 1AA playoffs. It's they'll go ahead and turn that aside just because there have been some good teams at Southern and Grambling a few years where they've said, hey, this team could make it, but that rivalry game is such a big deal. They don't play it. They say we're going to play the rivalry game instead and not worry about the playoffs. But it's interesting if you look at today. I think Coach Alexander really was selling his team on saying, look, if this is the number one team and we beat them, even if we don't play in the playoffs per se, we're going to be seen as the number one private school team in Virginia. So obviously it'd be big for them to go ahead and get the win. There's a little extra oomph in this one for the Woodbury Forest Tigers.
Yeah, in essence, a little championship game here in October when we talk about that these could be the two top teams, and if this is the team you win, you just don't play in the playoffs because you have that rivalry game that, let's face it, priorities. You've been playing it for 113 years. You're going to turn your back on that. But it's been hard fought, and there's been the intensity of a game like that, an intensity of the game that means a lot, that could mean that the winner of this game is the best team in private school rankings, and that's what it's looked like out there with the physicality and just there's been the bend, don't break that hasn't even come up with points because of just how tough they get down there in the red zone.
And the weather today, it's been a great day for football. 68 when we kicked off. The wind gusts have been an issue, as we said early on. The sure-handed punt returner for Woodbury Forest, Nathaniel Tyrell, dropped the punt, muffed it. His team got it back. We've also seen some passes affected, some kicks affected as well by that wind. And again, taking a look at really just the beautiful campus here at Woodbury Forest, and the athletic facilities are so great. They've got this field here. They've got another turf practice field just behind the far end zone. Also have a golf course, so if you want to go out and play a few holes, you can do that as well. Nice soccer fields, really spacious area. And of course, looking at the press box here at Johnson Stadium here at Haynes Field, we're just to the left of that. So that's our vantage point today for this 3-0 contest. Woodbury Forest leading Benedictine at the half. Again, Tigers get the ball to start things off in the second half. And I guess, Brian, a couple quick keys you think for Woodbury Forest maybe to turn things around and maybe put some more points on the board and salt this win away at some point.
Well, for Woodbury Forest, defensively, they're doing everything right. They got to keep doing what they're doing there. But offensively, finish the drives. I mean, we've talked a couple of times of those first few possessions where they move the football down there, red zone, fumble, interception, and that's going to kill you. Either way, you just got to sustain those drives and at least get 3 points out of them. I mean, we talk about they have 3 points so far, and that came on a tough field goal into one of those 25-mile-an-hour gusts of wind, and you at least get a few more chances for your kicker to attempt those and just put the points up on the board. They're doing everything but finishing the drives offensively.
Over on the Benedictine side, what would you say are a couple keys for them?
Well, they've shown flashes of being able to pick up the drive, pick up the yards, but we talked about that big offensive line that they have, and they're going against some guys who are a lot smaller. Of course, they're these Woodbury Forest front seven, they're used to going against these smaller guys, but they've had some success running the football at times. If they can do that more sustained and not let these defenders get into the backfield and trip them up for losses, and also stop shooting yourselves in the foot with these penalties. They've had these big plays that have been washed out because of penalties, and the one that really keeps coming back to mind was that big scramble play, that throw all the way down to the 1 yard line that got taken away because it was an illegal formation penalty. It was a flag down as soon as the ball was snapped, and the play really then never would have happened. So it's been the penalties and the turnovers that have killed them, and in between that, they've both played excellent football.
Yeah, both teams, again, a hard-fought game with some mistakes, and that's really what's led to our 3-0 score here with Woodbury Forest on top of Benedictine. I quickly want to go back and elaborate on something when it comes to the VISAA rankings. Basically, they have 3 divisions of that, and there are a top division. That's the one where Woodbury Forest actually is in all other sports. Same for Episcopal, their longtime rival. Bishop O'Connell is the other team that chooses not to participate in football there, and with obvious reason being the WCAC, where they're looking to go ahead and get into those playoffs every year. So the Knights do not participate in the VISAA playoffs, but all the other schools, Benedictine, Bishop Ireton, I believe, in that as well. I think Paul VI also in those rankings as well. So really kind of stretches all over the state. But again, that's why this game really, as you said, is kind of a championship game in October, because if you're Woodbury Forest, Forest end of the year, you go undefeated, you could say, hey man, we beat everybody, we even beat the champion, we're the real champion. On the other side of things, if you're Benedictine and if you lose this game and then Woodbury goes undefeated but you win the playoff, at that point, does your championship tarnish just a little bit? I don't think they would think that way, but people may say that. You want those bragging rights to be completely shut down and say, hey, we beat everybody we were supposed to beat, we deserve the championship here.
You never want to give someone that trump card to be like, oh yeah, you won your league, but we beat you. So yeah, it's just there's a certain level of intensity out there, and that I'm sure that if Woodbury Forest goes undefeated and beats the champion, then they feel like that, hey, then they're the de facto champion of that league, and if it's not official. I mean, I've seen that before in college when a team was leaving a conference and wasn't allowed to participate in the tournament, and they weren't the official champions, but they won the league and they made themselves championship rings anyway.
Let's get it down to our Monica Moore with this sideline report.
Thanks, Jeremy. When I spoke with Woodbury Forest head coach Clint Alexander at halftime, you heard him talking about injured quarterback Lindell Stone, how he's been filling up water bottles. I've been watching him do this. He's been taking water bottles into huddles. He's been encouraging his teammates, listening in on the huddles, actively participating, setting such a great example, despite the fact that I know that's a very difficult injury that he suffered. He's been in a lot of pain, but certainly exemplifying team before self down here on the sideline.
Thank you, Monica. And Woodbury Forest finishing up their warm-ups. Looks like Benedictine actually already had finished up their warm-ups, but they did not. They were getting some extra ones in. You see on the sidelines there, Lindell Stone, the quarterback, and really such a good prospect. He actually was a guy who came out of the system of South Lake Carroll, the famous state championship high school down in Texas that's put Chase Daniel into the pros, Greg McElroy, the national championship quarterback at Alabama, also Kenny Hill, the quarterback now at Texas A&M. That school begot those players. He actually was in their middle school, looked like he was on their way. You know how Texas high school football recruiting is. It was kind of the fanfare of this kid, talking about how great he was in the rankings. Well, he ends up at Woodbury Forest, but obviously found something he liked here, and and I think one thing has to be good. If you're Lindell Stone, you had to be confident that a place like Woodbury Forest, considering who they put into college and the pros, you could do the same thing there, plus also get a really good education.
Yeah, pretty good pedigree there as well. And yeah, the kind of the both sides of it, where you mentioned earlier in our halftime little show here that the academics 6 days a week here at Woodbury Forest, and the drive that it really instills in these players and the guys who have ended up at Notre Dame and in the NFL under Coach Alexander, and that I'm sure that was part of the selling point for Lindell Stone. And what we really just do hope is that he ends up okay out of this. I mean, it was a little bit scary seeing immediately having him take off the pads and put the arm in a sling and wrap up the ice on and everything, but kid can play. I mean, we saw that from the few series that he did play, and he's got an arm, he can move, he can kind of do it all out there, and hope that his teammates can pick him up there, as he's been very involved from the sideline, walking around with, he keeps bringing water into the huddle anytime that there's a timeout, and he just wants to be a part of the game, it seems.
So as we mentioned, Woodbury Forest will receive the second half kick after deferring to start the game. Will Pittman will do the kickoff duties for Benedictine. Back deep, it's Davenport joined by Tyrell. Going to get over Tyrell's head into the end zone, so Davenport with a nice kick with that win. And it's going to go ahead and make Woodbury Forest start off from their 20-yard line.
And a classic gust of wind as soon as the ball is kicked. It's been a huge factor here in this one so far through the first 24 minutes, the first two quarters. And as we start the second quarter out here, it'll be Woodbury Forest driving into the wind for the third quarter. As they take a look over on the sideline, it looks like that's H.T. Minor getting a tape job on his ankle. He had his shoe off and foot completely bare on his right ankle, is getting taped up by the training staff.
Zayton, quick pass out to Shea in the flat. Shakes one man, drops the ball. They say he's down after a gain of 4 on the play. Now, my question on that one, Brian, is did he hurt himself earlier and they just taping him now, or did he roll his ankle maybe during the warm-ups as we look at the replay by Zayton here? That's an interesting question, if maybe did it warming up, because you'd think unless this was the start of the series for Revere to get out there and start pre-planned, why they'd be waiting to tape his leg up, but interesting.
You can see he's got an ankle brace in his hand there that he has taken off, and he'll maybe put on over this tape once again, so clearly was already braced and might just not have been taped underneath it.
And again, this is Tyrell, the big playmaker, in on offense, and he's going to take the ball for first down yardage out to the 35-yard line, gain of 11, another end around working wonders for Woodberry Forest.
Before this game, Tyrell had 1 carry offensively for 1 yard so far for Woodberry Forest, and with Minor over on the sideline, get the ball in a playmaker's hands and using that speed, nice vision, nice little hesitation to burst forward for a few more yards at the end of that run.
You have to wonder if it's because the return game has been null and void because of that wind. Handoff up the middle, shaking a few tacklers, one running right by as Revere goes for a gain of 3, and looked like one of the Benedictine defenders just ran by him, didn't know he had the ball.
You want to update over on the sideline. I can see from our vantage point that Minor, his ankle has been taped and he's putting the brace on over it, trying to do so with a little bit of urgency when we get there back in the football game as they're moving the ball without him.
Minor did miss 1 game this season due to that injury. It was actually limited last week against Eastern Christian. Pass out, going to be completed. Nice grab by Roderick to get down and cover up and not take a big hit. And again, Woodberry Forest is moving behind backup quarterback Zayton.
Seems like he's found his comfort level. When he first came in the game, maybe was made a little bit jittery, wasn't quite mentally, I don't know if he was in the game since he had it started, but you see him rolling to the left, throwing across his body. Tough throw to make and an excellent execution as, again, you get another look at 18 Minor. He has laced up that ankle brace, putting the cleat on and almost ready to get back in the game.
Zayton, again, quick pass over the middle, completed to Shea. He'll be brought down after a gain of 4.
Pass complete to number 4.
Just keep picking up yards. That's pretty much just an extended handoff there. Get another completion for Zayton, who this is the best he's looked so far since he's come into the game. This drive here, a couple of nice job done there, and it just zip on that ball, got it to the man in a little bit of space and move it on first down.
Handoff, Revere breaks through some tackles, runs over a man, but takes a hit as Gordon came up from his safety spot, and they'll say he's down 1 yard short of that first down. It'll bring up a 3rd and short here, and looks like Woodberry going to go ahead and quick this up. They got to figure out what they're going to do. Probably, considering the conditions, 4-down territory.
Yeah, not really a good spot of the field to punt from, especially into this wind, and yeah, I'd imagine so, 4 down unless there's a huge loss here.
Revere going to be stacked up. He's going to be close, depends on the spot, and I believe he's going to be just short.
Are signaling 4th down, but he was awfully close. You're right, Jeremy. I wouldn't be surprised if they call for a measurement, but nicely done there, breaking up the play. As you saw, streaking in to the backfield, it was Ellis Brooks, and he just got a hand on the leg of Revere to trip him up, and here we go on 4th and inches.
Again out of the shotgun, that's their preferred formation, and Benedictine shows blitz, and they jump off sides.
Look at Zayton celebrate. They picked up the first down without even having to snap the football, immediately clapping his hands and pumping his fist that they got that first down. And there it is again, penalties, mistakes on the Benedictine side of things. And it hurts them is because that's a 4th down, a chance to get a turnover on downs, and instead they're giving away a first down, and Woodberry Forest poised to make them pay.
Couple of guys coming across. Zayton again with 4 wide receivers. Minor back into the game again, trying to get on that left side. Eventually he'll be wrapped up by a few players, including McDonald, after a gain of 3.
Fresh tape job on the right ankle underneath the brace, and we'll keep an eye to see if he's limping at all. He's looked great in the first half. It must have been something must have come loose or not felt right to him, but he didn't seem to be affected by it when he was running the football. We showed the highlight package during halftime of him just running over guys and using the speed as well.
Zayton back to throw over the middle. This one's incomplete. Again, just a little bit high, looking for Roderick, who was open over the middle.
And that was the first pass that was a little bit off target on this drive. And Zayton, of course, is going into the wind right now. You wonder if he tried to put a little bit extra on that because he felt a gust coming or what. But missed his man a little bit high for his intended target, who had some room. He would have had to a playmaker in space, and now again, a third down upcoming.
Zayton back to throw against that blitz, and this one misses wide as he was looking for Humphreys. So that will bring up a fourth down, and now let's see where they go. It's going to be I think they're going to look to go ahead and kick the field goal here. Now they're going to punt.
You wonder if it hadn't been two consecutive missed throws there, if they would have gone for it on fourth down again, one for the 4th and 6 from this spot of the field, but it's tough to see, and doesn't look like Benedictine's really, now they're going to send someone back for the punt return.
This may be a fake situation here. Now they're going to go ahead and kick it, and it's going to be high up there and down perfectly at the 5-yard line, and go ahead and credit Logie Portugal, excuse me. He didn't make the mistake of letting it bounce and trying to get the few extra yards. He said the 5-yard line is good enough for me, and I'm sure good enough for Coach Alexander.
And also a great job done by Liam Hedge using the wind to his advantage. He knew that if he got the punt high up in the air, that the wind would stop it, and got his man down there to just wait for it, and like you said, not let it bounce and down him at the 5-yard line. Nicely done. Pin him deep.
Too many guys we watch on special teams, even at the pro level, will try and say, let's get him at the 1. Well, the 5's pretty good too. If that's what you got to take, go ahead and take it.
Better than a 20.
So 7:44 left to go in the third quarter. Benedictine deep in their own territory. Bracey under center. As deep back as Jones. Bracey, pump fakes, looking for the deep play, going for Tennyson. That one's going to be incomplete, and what a defensive play by Nathaniel Tyrell. Stayed with his receiver step for step.
Great coverage as he was looking for the single coverage matchup there for Tennyson, who's been the playmaker for him. Big arm on Bracey as we take a look at this coverage here. The pump fake as he tried to get someone to bite on the out and up. And right there, step for step, Tyrell got his hand in there, knocked it down, and brings up, now it's 2nd and 10 there inside the 5. So it's that was a big play defensively there. If that gets caught, that's huge.
Got to be impressed with Nathaniel Tyrell today. Handoff, looking to bounce to the outside and getting a little bit of room. Knocked out of bounds at the 10-yard line goes Jones. Portugal coming up from his defensive back spot to make that play after what was a 4-yard gain. Could have been much bigger if he doesn't come up and knock him out of bounds.
So still inside the 10-2 here, Jeremy. And if it can be a 3 and out here, pin this deep, give your offense another crack at things with a short field. They had a pretty good drive to begin things, move the football, and then stalled a little bit at the end of it. But the defense picking up where they left off in the first half.
Call this a 3rd and a short 7. Need to get it out to the 15 for a first down. Fake the counter. Now it's going to be a quarterback run. And hit and brought down will be Bracey. And a great play by Duke Sherrill again. And you hear the student section chanting Duke, and he deserves it.
Mama, it's that man again. Duke Sherrill has been the guy to get the penetration. He's been the one making the individual tackles. Watch number 6 fly to the football, waiting for it there, and boom, goes low, hits him low, and takes his legs out from underneath him so he can't use the power to maybe run over Duke. And that's how you tackle a big ball carrier right there and force a 3 and out.
Importantly, Sherrill stayed at home, didn't bite on that original fake by Bracey. Bracey to punt it away. Going to be a high kick. Gets a little bit for the win. Tyrell's going to take it at the 45-yard line of Benedictine. Runs forward, stays on his feet. He'll be shouldered down inside the 40 at the 39-yard line. That time Tyrell able to catch that one and save his team some yardage there. It's great field position again for WF.
First time he actually got a chance to return one. Of course, didn't have that much room to do anything with it, but here we go, is already past the 40-yard line. You mentioned great field position, and we'll see if Zayton can pick up where he left off in the first part of that last drive. He did miss a couple of throws at the end of it, but looked good, looked like he was getting back in the rhythm, and that's the Zayton that I expect to see on this drive here.
Shea and Roderick to one side, King joined to the other side by Thomas. Handoff up the middle, Minor going to be taken down by one of the big linebackers, actually Mikey McDonald, the defensive end. McDonald, we talked a little bit about him. He's got an offer from St. Francis, also some interest from Ivy League schools. really a big play guy for the Benedictine team.
That penetration there, and that's a strong young man who just wrapped him up and made sure that Minor could not go anywhere else. Excellent tackling.
The loss of 2. Thomas going to make the catch. He's out in open space, has the first down, looking for more. He'll be spun down by the back of his shirt, but he'll take it inside the 15-yard line. So a 26-yard gain for Thomas, the freshman, showing off with the speed.
Khalid Thomas, easy to pick out with that pink sleeve on his right arm, and he's been the playmaker on the outside so far for Woodberry Forest. That's the second big gain. We saw him have the long run that set up the field goal at the end of the first half, and nicely done on the slant there and getting yards after the catch with that speed.
Zayton back to throw, looking in the corner of the end zone. This one's going to be incomplete, and no flags. Both guys looking for pass interference.
And it was almost, both guys kind of working on each other there. Almost picked off there, almost pulled in. I mean, it was kind of a fight for the football kind of situation. And you look at it right here, there was contact on both sides. And I guess the best thing to do there is say that it kind of washed itself out because there was a push off and a hold, I think, sort of from both sides of things. And just bring up 2nd and 10.
A lot of Benedictine fans in front of us. They were looking for offensive pass interference. Minor up the middle on the draw. He'll lunge forward. Still pushes the pile. Gets some help from his offensive lineman as well. And what looked like might only be a 2-yard gain gets all the way down inside the 10 to the 9, maybe the 8.
Look at the power from HT Minor, who we made a big deal of on that first drive, showing you that he was getting his ankle re-taped, but watch it on the draw here. He'll run in to a group of cadets and just keep moving, and he get the offensive line behind him. That pile never stops moving forward until he loses his balance and eventually does fall down, but nicely done on 2nd and 10.
I think his guard Brady Logan might have been pushing some Benedictine players for him as well. Hand off to Minor, looking to get to the outside. He'll be brought down, but he'll have first down yardage as he lunges forward to the 3.
All right, HT says you like the power. How about the speed? Get to the outside and pick up the 4 yards he needs for the first down, bringing up 1st and goal. Really the best scoring situation possible, best situation so far that we've seen out of the Tigers, and just burst through the 2 tacklers right there and using the quickness and knowing where the first down marker is, lunging forward to get there, make sure he has a fresh set of downs as a timeout looks like will be taken by the Tigers.
A little bit of confusion. I believe that's Ryan Alexander, the offensive coordinator, was trying to substitute some of his guys in and on. Looked like tight end John Curvin ran out on the field immediately, and I don't know if that's who Shea was supposed to come on for or not. He kind of looked over, so there's too many men. Eventually had to go ahead and take the timeout. But important, you don't like wasting the timeout, but you'd much rather waste the timeout than maybe get a penalty there, push yourself back. Right now, you're just 3 yards away from the end zone.
Plus you get your overqualified water boy in there with your falling quarterback Lindell Stone right in the middle of the huddle as always, holding all the Gatorade bottles there, and he looks like he's doing some talking and trying to encourage his guys and really completely into the game there, and we'll see. I mean, I'm sure that a wasted timeout that results in a touchdown on the next play wouldn't seem like as much of a wasted timeout with how much of a struggle this game has been at times when you get down inside the red zone. And, Coach Alexander, shaking his head a little bit, but absolutely got to be pleased with what has gotten his team here inside the 5-yard line on the 1st and goal from the 3 since they took over on the 39, partially because when they got the football out of the halftime, they moved it until they stalled. Then the punt that pinned Benedictine at the 5 and the 3 and out that got them the ball back, and it's just been good football in general.
Still a 4 wide receiver set. Have a tight end in there as well. Maybe a sneak coming up. Zayton under center. Now Minor will go in motion. He'll hand it off on the jet sweep. Can he get to the outside? He'll lunge forward, and Minor, is he in? They'll say he's down just short of the goal line. The side judge right there, we're waiting to see if he put those hands up. He did not, but Minor able to take it down just on the shadow of the goal line.
Let's see if we can tell. He had a great view as Minor number 1 with the untucked jersey there. Got the edge and tried to take on the defense, and he was awfully close, but look, we can see when the knee comes down, and that was about as close as you can get.
Minor forward. Does he get in this time? He does! Touchdown, Woodberry Forest. Minor up the middle. And it's a score for the Tigers as they finally get a little bit of breathing room in this matchup.
Doesn't matter if he was in on the previous play or not, just plunging up the middle. HT Minor, how about it?
So Minor with the 1 yard run. It might have been a 1 inch run when it was all said and done, as that thing was right near the goal line. So now Hedge on to kick the extra point. Now the officials will take a timeout. I believe one of the linemen for Woodbury Forest didn't have their helmet buckled, so they took a quick equipment timeout. Hedge the kicker, Zayton's the holder. Looks to make this a 10-point lead. Hedge's kick is up, and Hedge's kick is good. So with 4:04 left to go in the third quarter, Woodbury Forest leads Benedictine 10-0. And the way points have been at a premium so far, you kind of have to like your position if you're Coach Alexander of Woodbury Forest.
Yeah, 10-0 lead seems like a lot more, especially as we're getting towards the end of this game with just 4:04 left in the third. And 12-minute quarters in the way that this defense has played. I mean, this Woodbury Forest defense, granted there have been some occasional assists from Benedictine hurting themselves with the penalties from that side, especially offensively, but the front seven, this gritty front seven, has gotten into the backfield and made tackles. There's been gang tackles, and we got to single out the play of Duke Sherrill. He's been excellent, the linebacker, knifing in there and bringing down the ball carrier, be it Bracey, be it Johnson. It's been an excellent job done by the men in black on defense.
And this is a quick jet sweep where Minor almost got it in, not quite. Got brought down,
close.
Yeah, just near the goal. Like I said, the shadow of the goal line. Eventually would punch it in a play later. As we see right here, straight up the middle to put Woodbury Forest up 10-0. Hedge came up on the ball and the wind blew it off.
Of course it did. It's this wind has been a huge factor in this game, Jeremy, and it just wouldn't be complete if it didn't blow the football off the tee at least once.
Tennyson and Jones back deep. And again, already one touchback into this win for Hedge. He's going to hope for another here. Approach and another kick. This one's definitely going to be held up by the wind. Tennyson's got to take it at his shoe tops at the 15-yard line, looking to get up the middle. Gets hit and brought down at the 25-yard line. And credit Tennyson, he really had to get down there as a flag comes down. Had to get down there to keep that one from going. A face mask going to go here on Woodbury Forest. But really a nice catch there, as you had pointed out earlier on. That wind just caught that ball, and it just stopped in midair and dropped straight down.
Especially the higher it gets up. You remember the kick at the very end of the first half? He kept it on a low line drive, and it got all the way into the end zone. But when he kicks it kind of the way you would normally kick off in these conditions, it halted at like the 15 to 20-yard line.
So that a 5-yard face mask, that's going to move the ball up to the 31. Now into the game at quarterback, Jake Waldrop. Really, Benedictine, a team that has played, I think, 4 quarterbacks so far this season. Waldrop's first snaps under center of this game. He hands off up the middle to Jones. He'll be stacked up right at the line of scrimmage.
Third quarterback in this game is Bracey, who has been the quarterback for most of the snaps, was lined up at wide receiver on the near side, and Sullivan, who has also taken some snaps to quarterback and a lot of keepers, I don't believe on the field currently.
And you look at that defensive play. Right now, Woodbury Forest just everyone in a gap and no space to run through for Benedictine. Waldrop has an eye behind him. Jones dotting the I. Waldrop back to throw, looking out over the head of Pilot, his intended receiver. If he hits him in stride, it's 6.
Might have been a little bit of confusion there on the Tigers side defensively. It looked like 2 guys broke for 1 receiver. So take a look at the replay, and looking left the entire time, he had a man that's just, you hit him on the hands and there's no one who's catching him. Almost a big play for the Cadets.
So now they're staring at a 3rd and 10. Need to take the ball to the 41-yard line for a first down. 3:09 left to go in the third quarter. Woodbury Forest on top, 10-0. Waldrop again calling signals. He'll roll out, look to throw. He's got room to run if he wants it. Instead, he'll throw it, and incomplete as he was looking for the fullback, Julian Johnson. And we're pretty high up, Brian, but it looked like he had room to run if he wanted to go that route.
Yeah, the pass just a little bit low for him, couldn't quite bring it in. Maybe he was thinking about that room he had to run once he pulled in the ball, but would have been a tough catch to make. And another 3 and out for Benedictine, and Woodbury Forest has got to be getting a little bit more swagger defensively as they're coming off to high fives right now to the sideline and sending their star return man back to return that one.
Bracy, it's a kick from inside his 20, and he'll go ahead and kick it away. End over end kick. Tyrell's going to drop it. He'll pick it up at his own 15, look for some room. He slips, stays on his feet, then he ends up being brought down by Tyron Cloyd, ends up grabbing a foot. So good field position flip by Benedictine with a nice punt by Bracy, and Tyrell unable to field it again, dealing with that wind. It's a tough one.
Well, we pointed out the last time he fielded a punt from this position on the field with the wind coming towards him at the back of the punter, him going backwards and deciding to let it bounce and go into the end zone because he couldn't get himself square. He was a little bit further up in the field this time and tried to make the catch almost like he was a receiver going back for it and turned around, and you saw him unable to pull it in. Luckily for him, he had room and stayed calm and picked it up and was able to get something out of it, but he's had a little bit of trouble with this wind today.
Zayton hands off to Revere up the middle, breaks a few tackles. He'll get it near the 30-yard line. So a gain of 8 on the play, and Revere, no matter if it's him or Minor in the backfield, Woodbury Forest getting yards on the ground against what's a pretty big Benedictine front.
Well, and they run it to the left side again, and that's where Yarborough is, the big 6'6" left tackle, and you see him driving his man up the field and clapping his hands at the end of that play, and that's the strong side for Woodbury Forest. They're running behind a good offensive line, and especially that left tackle.
Tough one. Dunn was on a stunt and just overran his mark. Might have been in there for a loss if he could have stayed on his feet. Take the hand off to Revere. Zayton looking to throw. Now he's thinking about running. He'll slide down, and he should have first down yardage, as he will. He'll get the 2-yard gain just across the sticks.
Now, of the 2 quarterbacks who have played this season for Woodbury Forest, Zayton not nearly as mobile as Stone, but you see him make the decision early in the play here that he can pick up some yards, and the coverage was going back. No one really to throw to, so turn into a positive gain and pick up the first down. It was nicely done by the senior out of Raleigh there to get down and slide and avoid getting hit hard like his predecessor did earlier in the game in Lindell Stone.
Handoff, Minor, hit in the backfield, spun forward, ends up with a gain of 2. Could have been a no gain or a loss on the play, but able to keep that low balance and move forward.
Constantly moving forward. That's what it's been for Woodbury Forest, and they're really taking control of this game right now, Jeremy, and this could be a put-away drive if they go down and put 6 points on the board to cap it off, and they're starting it off well here with just 1:20 to go in the third quarter.
And rolling. 12-minute quarters in high school football. Now Zayton will audible, change the play. Saw that work a little bit disastrous early in the game. Stone tried that, ended up in a fumbled snap. Incomplete pass, but we saw it up here. The referees did as well. Going to be pass interference on Kajon Coley as he had Roderick wrapped up like a cheap suit.
No question at all. We'll look at it once again as he's dropping back to pass and looking left immediately, and you can see the left hand hooking him there from Coley and bringing him down, really kind of lunged himself forward to knock down the ball, and that's the easiest call you'll see all day. Clear defensive pass interference.
And one of the interesting things on that, Brian, was the fact he didn't grab jersey, he grabbed his arm. And that time, the referees are going to see that every single time. Sometimes you'll get away with the jersey tug. You're not going to get away with really pinning the guy's arm. That's what he did.
For Roderick, there's no chance to catch that ball. You grab the arm, that's just completely obvious.
So now Zayton, the 6-foot senior, fumble on the play, and I think Benedictine has this one, and they do, and that is a killer for Woodbury Forest. Had things moving, had a first down, had a chance to run some more clock off on the field, and instead the Cadets had the ball in Woodberry Forest territory.
They have done everything right except for occasionally they forget to hold on to the football. It's fumbled on the exchange there, as trying to get that handoff to H-Team Minor, and maybe guys who haven't, well, with the quarterback shuffling, they've played together a little bit this season, of course, as both quarterbacks do play, Zayton and Stone, but you wonder if that's why, maybe not being as familiar, I mean, haven't made that handoff as many times as maybe Stone has.
Now Henry Sullivan back in at quarterback as he looks for the quick screen. Incomplete as he was looking for Tennyson, couldn't find him.
Sullivan's pass intended for Tennyson. Second down.
These quarterbacks being changed once again, and it's tough to get some rhythm that way, Jeremy, with you have all these different quarterbacks shuffling in and out. We'll look at it again, the screen pass designed out there and just off target.
Yeah, Tennyson a little bit deep as he was able to really kind of ran that deeper than most of the times you'll see a quick screen. Handoff up the middle, minimal gain on the play as Sullivan actually kept on that play.
Carry by Sullivan, tackled by Mendocino.
Again, the front seven getting in there and breaking it up in the backfield. It's been impressive all around. Just getting in there and making plays. I mean, there's not too many more things you can say well about this defense for Woodberry Forest. They're doing it all. They're making every tackle.
So a 3rd and 7 coming up here as Benedictine needs to take it down near the 33, 34-yard line for a first down. Bracy back in at quarterback. He's looking to throw. He's going to be flushed. Eventually shakes off a tackler, but will lunge out of bounds near the 40-yard line. And he's going to be still about 5 yards short.
Just 2 seconds remaining here in this quarter, and we've seen that from when Bracy's in there at quarterback. There are a lot of these designed rollouts, and this one they had to make the guy miss and get the yardage you need, get the yardage you can at the end of that play because there was nothing downfield on another 3rd down, and they've had designed runs for him on 3rd down, and he's a guy who, of course, can carry the football, and now he's going to go in there and try and punt it away.
So now Bracy lined up short here at Woodberry. Not exactly sure whether they should go back deep or play a punt safe. Now man goes in motion. Obviously Bracy at quarterback. This could be a fake, and that's exactly what it's going to be as he's looking. And this one's going to be picked off by Tyrell. And this may be a big mistake for Benedictine. He cuts across the field at the 40-yard line. Still on his feet, Tyrell. What a play. He was dropped back as the punt returner. He smelled it out and comes up with the interception and then puts 20 yards of return yardage on top of that.
You got a defensive back like Tyrell back there as your punt returner as well. He read this immediately, was waiting for it, and saw Bracy's eyes looking left and just broke for the football like a safety coming in there, and he picks it off and makes a couple of guys miss at the end of the 3rd quarter there, getting a few extra yardage, showing you it's pretty much like he's returning a punt anyway. It just goes down in the books as an interception. Look at the football back.
Vergara was the intended target on that play, but I think obviously it's tough. I saw watching some tape of Benedictine earlier in the season. They kind of went with a short punt like that, ended up faking. That's exactly what they ended up doing. But again, credit a very smart Woodberry Forest defense knowing what that was going to be as they called out and now have a chance with the ball into Benedictine territory after Tyrell's interception with a chance, like you said, maybe to a drive that can kind of go ahead, if not end the game, put it really close to the deep freeze.
And with as now just 12 minutes remaining, I mean, when I mentioned that earlier, there are extra 4 minutes on the clock, and the later it gets, the bigger those points are, especially with the way the defense has been playing. And again, credit to you, Jeremy. You called that right away. You saw nice little advanced scouting from our play-by-play man here. Saw that not quite as deep as normally for Bracy on that punt, and you were expecting that pass, and that's exactly what Woodberry Forest was doing as well.
Watched a little bit of tape against their game with Collegiate, and that's what happened. They went with Bracy was lined up a little bit shorter, and because he's the quarterback, it kind of puts the defense in a bad position. Excuse me, folks. They'll actually start in their own territory, Woodberry Forest that is, but they'll start the 48. Quick slant pass, looking for Thomas, can't connect with him. It'll be incomplete.
And Thomas, who had been the JV quarterback, as we've mentioned a few times here this afternoon during the football game, when they've gotten the ball in his hands, he's been able to make things happen, but maybe not as used to catching those quick, hard slant passes that are a little bit high over there. And it's twice there's been ones that the high passes he hasn't been able to bring in.
Shotgun formation. Zayton rolls. This one's going to be complete. Shea lunges forward after the tackle attempt, and he's able to go ahead and get it across the stakes for a first down. Pilot on the coverage, but just broke loose enough to go ahead and actually they're going to measure this. I thought it was an easy first down. Looked like from where they marked it. It's going to be close, but I think he's going to have it. Let's go ahead and get it down to our Monica Moore with the sideline report.
Thanks, Jeremy. I was just listening in on the defensive huddle after the team came off the field at the end of the third quarter, and what the defensive coaching staff is really happy about right now is the way that their team is making adjustments. They think that's been the key to Woodberry Forest's success today in this contest. And when I talked with Clint Alexander before the game today, he told me that name, the Gritty Little Tigers, he doesn't know where it came from. Of course, they're tenacious, they're small, they're fast, that goes into it. But what they really are, he told me, is smart. These guys take in a lot of information every week, and they give them guidelines. They go out on the field and they adjust to the defenses, and that is exactly what they've been doing today.
Thank you, Monica. It was a first down, and now Miner takes it up the middle. He'll go head over heels, and the ball's loose, and now running it back is Ellis Brooks, still on his feet. Shakes through another man. Brooks, a running back on the offensive side. He's running through the entire Woodberry Forest defense, eventually brought down inside the 30-yard line. And another tough break for Woodberry Forest as Miner ends up getting knocked head over heels, loses control of the ball, then Brooks is Johnny on the spot, able to bring it back.
It's almost incredible how it's the same mistake constantly, and it looked like, as you saw Zayton look back, the exchange might not have been perfectly clean as Miner did have it, but he's hit immediately, and this run back is incredible. He keeps reversing his field and making guys miss. You alluded to the fact that running back on offense, playing defense as well, and that's just good football by Elijah Brooks and picking up gobs of yards, and here we go.
Handoff up the middle. Getting to the outside is Jones, and he's going to get a gain of 7 on the play.
Saw a lot more of Jones back in the first quarter. They've really gotten away from giving him the football here towards the end, but good run there on first down, getting to the outside, and he's a big guy who hits the hole fast with speed and with power.
Caught a 2nd and 4 here. Handoff up the middle. Again, Jones, who's pounding up the carries today, and he's going to be really close to the sticks. I think they're going to say 3rd down, so just short. 10:49 and rolling here in the 4th quarter.
Gets that running start, out of the I formation, and with the speed and with the power, there was a hole. It was quickly closed, so he didn't quite pick up the first down, but a little bit, the momentum's shifting back towards Benedictine right now, especially if they can score here.
Waldrop in under center, and 2 guys move on each side, and they'll say false start on Benedictine, and what a killer.
Well, it's the Achilles heel of both teams. The Woodberry Forest side fumbling, Benedictine side penalties, and that's been huge. This, as you saw the twitch right there, it does appear to be the right call, and the right tackle goes first, and then there's the contact. So indeed, the false start, nicely done by our camera work on the sideline.
Yeah, the right guard and right tackle both moving there. And interesting the way you're putting yardage out. It's got to go on first down, but instead they can't get it. Back to pass, Waldrop, that one's completed. Nice hookup to Tennyson, who's going to take it inside the 10-yard line down to the 7. So Benedictine in business, 1st and goal here as they look to break the ice.
Great catch by Tennyson, and he gets popped, but comes up chirping as he's fired up. He looked like he was saying something after he picks up that first down, and there's that momentum coming back. The penalty didn't hurt because they pick up the first down.
New back into the game, that's Alex Williams. He'll be hit by about 3 Tigers right at the line of scrimmage. Lunges forward for a bit, but not that much. Say really gained about a half a yard, if that.
Clock not the friend, though, of the Benedictine Cadets, as we're under 10 minutes, and still a two-possession game with the field goal and the touchdown separating these teams, as well as the extra point, as you get another look there at the, again, just flying to the football in the front 7.
Again, Williams, the deep back, Waldrop under center, means Bracey's in the slot. Fake the handoff, contact in the backfield, looking out in the flat. That one's going to be incomplete. Looking in the corner for Bracey, and actually had a tight end or a fullback over there as well, so he thought the ball was going to him. A lot of confusion for the Cadets.
Well, Waldrop has been the third quarterback into the game there, and it looked like there's miscommunication between him and his backfield as the attempted play action. Instead, it's just kind of a collision, almost on a broken play. He had two options over there, but not the smoothest execution there from Benedictine.
And on the replay, looks like he was trying to hit the fullback. Johnson goes over his head. Bracey had a shot at it. Good hustle by him to not give up on the play. So a 3rd and goal here from the 8-yard line. 3 receivers. Waldrop rolling out, looking for someone in the end zone, looking for Bracey. That one's going to be incomplete and knocked away by Portugal. What a defensive play. We saw it on the other side earlier by Tyrell. Portugal saves the TD right there.
Logie Portugal, it was one-on-one coverage, and the defense got there first here on the rollout, going to his left, and it's a nice throw. It's on the money, and Bracey going for it, but just making the big swat with the right hand and knocking it down. You see 20 there. Portugal celebrating immediately. He knows he made the play, and that brings up 4th and 8.
So now on for the field goal attempt, Will Pittman. He spotted at the 15-yard line. Pittman's kick is up, and it's no good. No good for Pittman. Can't knock it through. And that is a killer for Benedictine. Not only do they not get the touchdown, do the good play by Portugal, they don't get the field goal either.
Portugal getting a lot of love as he's coming over to the side. You can see this kick very high. He just didn't put it enough to the left. It was set up on that right hash mark and just missed it. I mean, he definitely had enough leg on it and kicked it high over the line. No chance to block it. Didn't put it through the uprights.
And that's a tough one. When you think about that possession, not one time did they go to Bracey as the try to take advantage of his height advantage. I mean, Bracey coming into this game 6'3", 200 pounds. Really haven't seen it all game long where they've tried for a jump ball of some sort. You'd think they would go to that at least once because as good as the Woodberry corners are, they're not that tall. Shotgun, handoff, Tyrell in the game at wide receiver. A flag goes down. He's got some space. He'll take it out to the 15-yard line, but this one's coming back.
Yeah, Matthew Vergara immediately came up asking for the flag and saw it right next to him as he feels he was held, and that, I believe, will be the call. See on the end around here, 33's coming in and gets pulled. Yep, there was H.T. Minor who got him, and usually the ball carrier and trying to be the lead blocker, and he gets flagged for the hold.
So,
actually, it might have been a face mask. Pulled him down 15, pulled him back.
Whatever it is, it's going to be half the distance.
It looked like he was up near the face area, and yeah, it's not the. I believe the face mask was the call.
So going to be first and very long, actually 21. And again, Benedictine jumps on the hard count by Zayton. And they're going to say it's encroachment on the defense. Thought for a second as the side judge was consulting with the ref, it could have been maybe say moving the hands. But Zayton doing a good job there, not moving the hands in his head. He just really, with the hard inflection of his voice, gets the Cadets to jump off sides. Revere up the middle, pushes forward. He'll gain maybe 2 on the play.
And at this point, Jeremy, with the clock now under 9 minutes and the 10-0 lead in the way the defense has been, this is a chew-up time type drive for Woodberry Forest. I mean, of course, it would be ideal for them to put more points up on the board, but also that's their ally. That the time just keeps ticking down, the sand keeps trickling out, and they just got to waste this thing out the way that they've been playing.
And Zayton, the backup, in for Stone after Stone went down with a shoulder injury. And Zayton's going to be hit from behind. This ball is going to go out of bounds, luckily for Woodberry Forest. And that's an interesting call. It looks like, I guess, the ball did go forward. It looked like it was going to be a lateral. And the Benedictine fans are asking for the fumble, but they're not getting it.
Take a look. He's absolutely blindsided, doesn't see it coming in. It does look like he was in the process of throwing the ball. It's close. Is the arm going forward? That's the question. Let's see again, and right around that apex and the hand coming in on the backside, it was David Pilot giving the pressure off that backside corner blitz, and he's the one who knocked it out as well.
After checking, I think that ball rolled out of bounds at the 10, so it ended up going forward, I believe. But now timeout going to be taken by Woodberry Forest as they didn't like what they were seeing up front. And with a 3rd and long here, it'll be interesting to see what the Tigers go ahead and call. I think something safe the way their defense has been playing, but they've also been playing with a little bit of fire as Benedictine's had some good scoring chances that they haven't been able to convert the last few series, I should say. Remember, just a 10-0 lead here for Woodberry Forest. First points of the game came right at the end of the first half, I should say, as Liam Hedge knocked through a 37-yard field goal. Then H.T. Minor scoring in the third quarter with a 1-yard touchdown plunge, and 1 yard, really it was 1 inch. The ball was right there. He had taken it down basically about an inch or two from the goal line, and then scored on the plunge the next play.
Big play here, 3rd and 13, and deep inside their own territory. The clock stopped after that incomplete pass, they'll say, off of that backside corner blitz.
So Zayton and Revere in the backfield. 3 receivers one way, 1 the other. Handoff Revere on the draw. Got some space. Lunges forward. Going to be very close to the sticks, and I think he's going to have it. What a play call and what execution by Woodberry Forest. A 3rd and 13, able to go ahead and get a first down there and keep the chains moving, and more importantly, the clock moving.
Absolutely the perfect play call, and the draw and the defensive line all got upfield, and the handoff just bursting up the middle. Great vision, great speed by Revere. How about that? 14-yard gain on 3rd and 13.
Ball be set at the 30-yard line, 1st and 10. 7:50 and rolling here. Again, Revere will take it up the middle, runs into a big pile of both Benedictine defensive linemen and Woodberry Forest offensive linemen. Gets about 2-3 on the play.
Tackling company led by Williams.
And the clock can run for some more seconds coming off there. Again, that time is their ally, and after picking up that 3rd and 13 deep in their own territory and doing it on the ground, just the seconds continue to melt away with the 10-0 lead here, and this drive can be sustained. Then this could be the 3rd time we said it could be the put-away drive.
Revere in at the backfield, one of the many guys on this team from the state of New York, with defensive backs from that area as well. Revere lunges forward, runs over a man, and an acrobatic lunge at the end gets him the first down, and he is fired up. So are his teammates.
Wow, that's just that. He's running hard, Jeremy. There's no other way to say it. Watch this once again, bursting up the middle. Contact there, keep going. A little bit of a hurdle action almost as the guy who was pulling him down, he ends up jumping over and spinning for a few more yards. They have some running backs on this team that are just absolutely a ton of fun to watch. Woodberry Forest, they can absolutely run the football down your throat.
Again, Revere goes up the middle. He'll gain 4 on this play out to the 45, just short of it. And again, credit on that last play, his state of mind to go ahead, not only secure the ball with one hand, but to go ahead and put his other hand down so he could kind of do that somersault to get that extra yard or two. We talked about Revere from Rockaway Beach, New York, 5'8", 163-pound junior, the defensive backfield for the Tigers. Also from New York, Nathaniel Tyrell, the senior out of Brooklyn. Logie Portugal out of Queens, New York, a junior. So definitely a New York connection coming down here to Woodberry Forest.
Bit of a pipeline.
Again, Revere up the middle, pushing forward. He ends up with a gain of around 4, maybe 5. Got the 49-yard line. Getting in on the tackle, Jack Cornett, the two-way player for Benedictine.
They know it's coming, but just running behind this offensive line. The offensive line is where there is size for Woodberry Forest. Everywhere else they're a little bit undersized, but a big offensive line to run behind with these running backs, and Benedictine, there's not much they can do about it. it's excellent execution by the Tigers.
So a 3rd and 2 here. Need to take it to the Benedictine 49 for a first down. Up the middle and stuffed goes Revere, so that should bring on a punting situation. Credit the Cadets defense as they're going to go ahead and take a timeout here to save clock. But a must-have stop there if they're going to have a chance to go ahead and win this thing with 5:08 left to go. You'd have to think that Coach Alexander going to have his guys defending against the big play, so you're going to have time for at least one drive and then maybe an onside kick.
And what will be interesting is whether or not Bracey's lined up as the quarterback with the big arm or as a wide receiver with the athleticism and the size. I mean, that's the offensive versatile weapon for Benedictine, and they've kind of been shuffling their quarterback, shuffling really everything, and we've seen Jake Waldrop in there under center the last few times. So first things first, though, a punt with the wind at his back for Liam Hedge, who's been the punter and the kicker for Woodberry Forest, and he's done a good job, and we'll see if they can pin him deep or if there's a potential run back from Tennyson.
Let's see if Hedge goes directional. He'll kick it straight up in the air, a high kick. Tennyson's going to get away from it. It's going to take a bounce, and Woodberry Forest is going to down the ball at the 5-yard line as Blakely Castleman able to get down there and make the play to make it a long field for Benedictine once again.
The special teams being key once more for Woodberry Forest. And Jeremy, we mentioned that earlier in the game as a key. As we take a look at this, it takes an excellent bounces. Smartly lets it bounce. It wasn't up near it, and great coverage by the Gunners getting down there and again at the 5-yard line. That's 2 punts that have been down at the 5 for Woodberry Forest in big situations, putting up a 95 yards in front of them for a much-needed score. And the special team once again for the Tigers.
Castleman, the senior out of Dallas, Texas, making a big play to again pin Benedictine back deep. Bracey in the shotgun. And now a flag goes down and a false start on the Cadets.
Penalty on Benedictine, false start. Still first down.
We've had problems with penalties all game long and really not much changing.
At least this one's only a 2.5-yard penalty, though.
That's true. That is true. It's always better to get those penalties when it's half the distance to the goal line because there's not much farther back to go. Bracey in the shotgun, joined by Johnson, likely his personal protector as they're in throwing mode right now. He's got 3 receivers to his left. Bracey back to throw, looking deep on the post pattern for Tennyson. Tennyson has it. He's at the 50-yard line, and he is brought down by the back of the shoe. As getting down there, Ryan Grady, the backup linebacker, able to pull Tennyson down as he looked like he might go 97 yards and a half.
That was a beautiful throw. Watch it again. In his own end zone, a big block picked up on the rush, and he just gives it to his speedy wide receiver, Tennyson, reaching out to pull it in, and you're right, just a shoestring tackle. Excellent job to prevent that from being a 97-yard touchdown pass.
Pressure on Bracey, and he is brought down by Hardin Lucas, who kind of looked like he was chopping a big old tree down, able to go get low and grab that leg of Bracey and pull him down for the 6-yard sack.
Hasn't that been how it's gone, though, for Benedictine? They have one big play, a great play, and then immediately Woodberry Forest answers, and this time with the great pressure. Look at that, just splitting the defense, untouched as he does the swim move to get in and just beeline for the quarterback.
Bracey back to throw again, more pressure from the Tigers, throws this one up. Tennyson's open if he can get to the ball, and he cannot. I think the wind took that one as Tennyson tried to make the catch and stay in bounds and couldn't do it.
Yeah, that ball floated a little bit there, and we know that Bracey's got the big arm, and he tried to go to the far sideline, and yeah, it hung up, and Tennyson was coming back to it, and if the defense over there would have recognized the ball in the air, it was a potential interception, but that wind is just doing magical things with the football when it's up there in the air. It just hits an invisible wall and just starts to fall.
You saw Cole Martini on the sidelines there. Cole, his older brother, Greer Martini, plays for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, graduated great player for Woodberry Forest last year, and started to get some time on special teams for the Irish, a big player, and a timeout's going to be called. Clint Alexander going to take it as looked like either had 12 men on the field or a guy out of position.
Sullivan was lined up as the receiver on the near side, and there was nobody over him. And sprinting from the far side of the near side was Michael Davenport. Looked like there was some confusion on the Woodbury Forest defensive side of things, and that was what the sideline was trying to indicate, that he's uncovered, and sprinting over Davenport, but he wasn't going to get there in time, so just take the time out.
This is that previous play as Bracey threw one up and kind of put some air under it, let Tennyson run under it, just couldn't get that foot in and make the catch all at the same time.
You saw that Tennyson had to throw on the brakes and then come back to the ball, and again there's that wind, but there was air under it, and he was the first one to get there. He just couldn't get there in time.
Again, looks like we've seen Stone take that wrap and ice off he had earlier in the game, so I think it's interesting to see how his health is the rest of the season. Bracing the shotgun, 3rd and long. Going to take off on the design run and be brought down from behind, and a pack of gritty little Tigers gets over to make the play as Lucas was there and about 5 other Tigers joined him.
A 4th and forever coming up now after once again getting in the backfield. Just the penetration over and over again, driving that big offensive line back in. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5 Tigers in on the tackle.
I think there's more than that. We're looking at that replay. There were about 4 in the backfield. There might have been 7 there.
My goodness.
So now this is going to do it if Benedictine can't convert. 3:23 left to go in the game. A 4th and forever. More pressure. Bracey throws this one up. It's going to be complete now. Can Tennyson get the first down? Shakes forward, and he will. He converts the first down on 4th and 17 after he caught it 5 yards short of the sticks.
Wow. That was something else. Nicely done by Bracey to get it to his playmaker and just short it, so he throws on the curl of comeback right there deep in the route. And
1st and 10. Bracey out in the flat. That one's going to be completed. And pushing forward is Jones. He'll get 7 yards on the play. So Benedictine right back in this one after that miracle completion.
I thought they were dead in the water, Jeremy. On the 4th and 17, they pick it up, and here they go again, and suddenly they have life.
Jones knocked out of bounds there by the safety Davenport. Up the middle goes Bracey on the quarterback run, and he'll get 5 yards, and it's enough for a first down.
The clock is under 3 minutes. It's at 2:53 now as it stops as they move the chains. But again, it's not their friend, they being Benedictine. They'll start to run once again here.
2:48 and rolling. Bracey again in the shotguns. Got 3 receivers to his right, 1 to his left, 1 back in the backfield. Again, pressure coming. More pressure. Bracey spins off that. Can he spin off a third? Throws up in the middle of the field. This one's going to be picked off. Sherrill with the pickoff. He's looking for more yardage and gets down just short of the 20-yard line, and he gets serenaded with another chant of Duke as Duke Sherrill makes the play again. We keep thinking it may be ice. That may have just done it.
It's a great job by Bracey evading the pass rush here. Gets away, and watch the stiff arm coming up right there. He throws him off a spin move. He's got to get rid of it, though. He's running out of field, and it's just a jump ball up there, and Duke Sherrill. I got to tell you, that's my nominee for player of the game. On the defensive side for Woodbury, he's been absolutely excellent, getting in there the tackles for the loss and possibly the game-clinching interception right there. He has been great, number 6 in black.
Sullivan was the intended receiver on that play, and that's sometimes the problem when you have that athletic quarterback, a guy who's always looking to make that play. Probably better served just throw it out of bounds and live to fight another day. Instead throws a pick, and now Woodbury going to look to go ahead and ice this one down as up the middle goes Revere for a gain of 3 on the play. Benedictine somewhat limited on the timeouts. Interesting to see how they play it. If Woodbury gets a first down, what they do.
They seem like they might be resigned to their fate over there on the sideline, the far side opposite from where we're perched here at Woodbury Forest.
Second and 7. And interestingly, Zayton's going to keep.
Stay tuned.
And he'll be brought down just across the 25-yard line, just short of the 26, and now Benedictine going to take that time out.
Benedictine.
I think he had an option there to pitch and just chose to keep it himself. Instead of putting the ball in the air with defenders around him would have been a little bit risky. Did pick up a few yards. It's going to be tough here, but a first down would ice it.
And give this home crowd a win on a beautiful day here in Central Virginia. Sun's going down a bit, but still nice out here. And again, we look at some of the pretty scenery, and again, the schedule coming up. St. Christopher's next week, then Fork Union Military Academy, and then Episcopal. So looking to lock down that Prep League championship, and then the big rivalry game against the Episcopal, where it's always been a huge one. Again, 113 playings of that one. Benedictine, they've got some more games coming up, Fork Union Military and then Liberty Christian. So, but obviously this is the game they're looking for. They're prepping for the playoffs, where really Episcopal knows, Woodbury Forest knows their season ends with Episcopal win or lose. So a 3rd and 3 here. Need to take it to the 29 for a first down. 1:42 left to go in regulation. Woodbury Forest with that 10-0 lead. 3 wides one way, a tight end in the game. He'll pitch on that little inside pitch to Thomas. Looks to get to the outside. He does. That is the first down and more out to the 40-yard line. And likely that will do it. And again, we talked about Thomas before the game, talked to Coach Alexander as he comes up limping just a little bit. But he said, Coach Alexander sat him down and asked him, "What, do you want to do this? We think you can help." And he said, "Look, as much as I love playing quarterback, that's still my dream. I want to help these seniors. They've been really good to me, and I think I can help them out." And, boys, he helped them out today.
He's been the offensive playmaker. Every time the ball is put in his hands, he's making something happen. And they're going to look at him a little bit shaken up there. Looks like it's the left knee that they're looking at, but picks up a big first down that seems to have clinched this one.
And, boy, you hope the injuries they sustained today don't hurt them down the line. Revere off right tackle, lunging forward, going to be pulled down just short of the sticks, give him a gain of 8. And with 1:06 to go, I think the Tigers can go ahead and kneel this one out if they feel like it. It'd be a shame if Thomas is seriously hurt here. Game he's played today is just a freshman, really, with his first varsity experience as a wide receiver.
He's played well, absolutely has. You definitely see that he's not quite polished out there catching passes, but an uncommonly gifted athlete for sure.
So again, the Tigers in the shotgun. They'll hand off up the middle. Revere, he's going to have the first down, and depending on how the referees run the clock here, that should do it. You may have to snap it one more time.
It's just an impressive performance from Woodbury Forest. They've been excellent, really. Defensive side of the ball, the defense is what won it. I mean, pitch a shutout against a team like this that can put up some points, and Benedictine, with all the talent they have running the football and their dual kind of triple threat quarterback that they've got, it's well done.
That will do it as Zayton takes the final kneel down, and it'll be Woodbury Forest with a hard-fought 10-0 shutout of Benedictine. We talked about the fact Benedictine averaging around 32 points per game this season. They were shut out today by the gritty little Tigers in that Woodbury Forest defense.
And the front seven consistently with the penetration into the backfield and tackling ball carriers for losses. As soon as the handoff is handed off from the quarterback keepers, as soon as they start to push their momentum upfield, there's a bunch of guys in black right there. And I mentioned when he had the game kind of clinching interception, but how about Duke Sherrill giving in there for the tackles for losses, and he's the one who swoops to the ball and picks it up on that great individual effort by Bracey to evade that rush. But again, team effort, the rush puts on, and that's what gets that interception, because he's forced to chuck a football kind of up there for grabs, and it's number 6 who comes down with it, and he was all over the field. And you heard the chants from the student section, the Duke, the elongated, and he earned all of it. 10-0 win. This is an impressive performance by Woodbury Forest. They're a good football team.
And it's funny, we talk about that defensive line being undersized, but the interesting thing is you see like they almost wore down the bigger Benedictine front later in the game, where the offensive linemen just couldn't go ahead and really keep their blocks going. Instead, it was Woodberry Forest getting that pressure that maybe they didn't get in the first half, coming in the second half and putting pressure on Brady and his compatriots at quarterback.
Well, they're fast and they're very well conditioned. I think you might be onto something there with the wearing down of the big offensive line. I think that the little gritty lines, the defensive line, they're just in better shape. It appeared, and they're just, of course, faster. We saw the speed on display constantly, but they never tired. And look at Coach Alexander in there with his post-game huddle. They've got to be fired up about this win.
Yeah, it's a big win for them. We talked about the implications in this one, that the way, considering that they don't play in the playoffs, that this is kind of the validation to say no matter what they do at the end, they've beaten all the teams who are in the playoffs, and they may be the best private school team in all of Virginia. And a great performance today. We talked about it against the Benedictine team, that it was averaging like 32 points per game, and to shut them out completely. And I would assume you've got to be euphoric if you're Woodberry Forest and you see all the fans coming out of the stands to join that huddle. On the other side of things, for Benedictine, got to be a tough loss for them, just the way they lose this, where it just could never really get anything going on offense.
Yeah, they can't take too many positives out of this. I mean, defensively, they did play pretty well, and they forced turnovers. That's what kept them in the game, because really Woodberry Forest, they outgained them in every aspect, and there was, at the end of drives, the fumbles that just kept coming up. But the one thing that coming out of this game for Woodberry Forest that they just have to cross their fingers about is that they're not too battered and bruised. I mean, you saw the starting quarterback go down, and the sophomore Lindell Stone, and of course the freshman Khalid Thomas, the playmaker who's up from JV, and their quarterback was playing some wide receiver and getting those kind of sweep tosses from the end around, and that he made some plays, and two guys who I believe could be very, very key down the stretch to this team to try and finish out undefeated, and you just got to hope that they're not hurt.
Yeah, Zach Roderick, he went down as well, but came back into the game. Looked like he banged up his shoulder, but he was back out there. So, again, a good performance, a great performance by Woodberry Forest to get the 10-0 win today. Again, quick look at the scoring recap. We're going to catch up with Coach Alexander, maybe a player, after they're done with their huddle, as you see it there in front of us. Looking at the second quarter, really the first points of the game coming right before the end of the half, as it was coming from the kicker Liam Hedge, made a 37-yard field goal. So they went into the half up 3-0 as opposed to 0-0, and really some momentum there. And then on the other side of things, in the third quarter, H.T. Minor plunged across from 1 yard out after he took it down to just the shadow of the goal line to score. That was all our scoring today, but again, it was a very nice win. Even if only 10 points were put up on the board, they could have had more, as we talked about. Twice they were able to go ahead and get the ball down close, but turn it over with an interception. So it was not perfect today, but it was a very, very good win, as Woodberry Forest able to go ahead and get the 10-0 victory. A couple highlights here early in the game. I believe this is the play. We saw Lindell Stone early on, a great run, about 20 yards, but he goes down right there at the end of the play. Ellis Brooks, the big linebacker for Benedictine, falls on Stone. He would not return to the game after that with a shoulder injury.
Yeah, and what I love, though, about Stone is after he got hurt there, and we'll see some of the defensive ability there from Woodberry Forest when them swarming to the ball and those big group tackles, is he was still in the game constantly. Watch number 6 here, by the way, though. Duke Sherrill, my pick for player of the game defensively, was just excellent flying to the football and with the big interception. But going back to Stone, he got hurt, and he was holding the water bottles, and he was going in there and getting in the huddle and offering his take and encouragement, and they went out there and they played hard without their sophomore quarterback, without their leader out there, and they played hard and they picked him up.
And again, we saw H.T. Minor really carrying the load in the first half, another bruising run as he was really taking their safeties and corners to school when he would break into the secondary. Then Khalid Thomas, that little pitch end around, and a few times made it hurt for Benedictine today. And if you had to be a cadet defensive man, you had to say, who is this guy and where is he coming from? He's not on the scouting report.
Yeah, well, what you saw, you learned pretty quick that you get the ball in his hands and he's going to run. He's going to run very fast. And there's that kick into the tough gusts of wind that really turned out to be that was all the points that they needed, of course, with the defense playing as well as they knew, but they didn't know that at the end of the first half there. And just it was defensive domination from Woodberry Forest here, and just impressive all around. There's that great defense on the long pass, the single coverage, and that time it was Nathaniel Tyrell, and just you can see over and over again in these highlights there's solid running plays, and you get Nathaniel Tyrell there on the offensive side, just getting the playmaker involved things, and just solid defense. I mean, they did it not quite that flashy, but they played good football.
And here was a play trying to keep a drive alive. Bracey on a rollout, and again, your man, the linebacker, coming up, making the tackle as Duke Sherrill, again, with a big game. Thomas, they tried to make some plays. He dropped one earlier in the game on an inside slant, but made that one hurt against Benedictine. He probably had to have around 100 all-purpose yards in the contest today. And this one was, again, they moved Minor to the slot, made the end around, and got it right down about an inch away from the goal line.
I still think he might have been in.
He might have been in, yeah.
It didn't matter, though, because the very next play, as you'll see coming up, he just plunging in there, and this is all the points. That's it. They get up there, they put up 6, make the extra point, and it's 10-0, and that's all they needed, because the defense they held, and they're down there, and they're getting into it right now. That huddle's still going on, still. A lot of clapping down there, a lot of happy faces down for Woodberry Forest, and another key play breaking up a pass into the end zone.
That was Logie Portugal with that big play. Then a fumble to give the ball right back. And this looked like Benedictine had things going there as Brooks had that big play to run it back inside of Woodberry Forest territory, get it down deep, and it looked like they were going to be set up to score and maybe go ahead and cut into that 10-0 lead. But eventually they would go for this fake punt here, which wouldn't be successful as it was perfectly read by Tyrell, came up, makes the pick, brings it back near midfield, and again a really good chance for Benedictine, snuffed out by a good play by the defense of Woodberry Forest.
And that's it's key in this. Here's where they did have a chance to get on the board with the missed field goal, and it's going to be the play that clinched it. That interception coming up not too long here. They're still showing you what they did offensively. This was another key play that helped chew up some clock on a 3rd and 13, a draw play. They got just enough, and just it was they executed down the stretch, Jeremy, and they did what they had to do, and just see the impressive athletic ability of their tailbacks, the impressive just really everything. And here's the probably the best highlight, though, offensively for Benedictine. You'll watch the long pass from Bracey to Tennyson. Almost broke it for enough, but the diving play to come up with the tackle and stop him at midfield.
Yeah, great dive from Ryan Grady, the backup linebacker. And then maybe a little bit too much bravado here. Bracey looks for the big play, just underthrows it, and Sherrill comes up to go ahead and make the pick and really ice the game. It would get a few more first downs and go ahead and run things out. And again, they're praying half the prayer, so we should be getting Coach Alexander very soon after the huddle breaks up. But you can see the Woodberry Forest family down there as everyone really, all the stands coming down to join that post game as they'll break it down, and Coach will come over and talk, and it'll be a happy Clint Alexander as his team remains unbeaten at 5-0 on the season with a winnable schedule the rest of the way. It'll be interesting to see exactly what happens the rest of the way out, if Zayton has to go at quarterback or whether they're able to go ahead and get Stone back in there at some point. As Monica intrepidly fighting her way through the crowd down there to see who she can bring on over. I'm sure I want to talk to a couple of the star players from our game today. Again, 10-0 the final. Woodberry Forest over Benedictine as Woodberry goes to 5-0 on the season. On the flip side of things, Benedictine falls to 6-2 on the season as they may lose their number 1 ranking in the state when it comes to the private schools. Again, no rankings for Woodberry Forest because they don't participate in the playoffs. That's why the poll goes that way. Actually, I saw that they weren't ranked. I was kind of surprised, but talking to Coach Alexander, said we don't play in the playoffs. They don't bother ranking us, but they may be the unofficial number 1 after this week.
Yeah, I think he asked teams that have seen them, got people who have watched them play, coaches who have coached against them, that they'd probably tell you this is the best football team that they've seen in the private school in Virginia. I mean, you watch the clinic here. I mean, there's the one thing, the fact that they turn the ball over a little bit too often. But other than that, it's just played great football, Jeremy. They absolutely did.
And Monica's rounded up a host of gritty little Tigers. They're not all defensive players, but they all have played very good games today and are really some key performers out here in this 10-0 win. And you see how happy all the fans are out there. And this is one of the boarding school experience, all the parents coming in to see the kids on the weekends as they at the games, and really a lot of happy faces out there after a big win for Woodberry Forest over Benedictine today. Let's get it down to our Monica Moore, who's standing by with some special guests.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm here with all of our players of the game. We have Logie Portugal, Evans Revere, HT Minor, and of course Liam Hedge. I'll start with you, Logie, because your defense had a shutout today. Can you talk about the performance?
Well, we all worked hard in practice. We knew they had some big receivers, all of them probably D1, and coaches told us to work hard. And, we came out with the W.
One play of yours that really stood out to me was when you broke up the play in the end zone. You got a hand on the ball. Can you talk about that play?
Well, Coach Johnson told me, he's a big guy and don't let him get inside. So I played him slow on the inside, and he went out. So I was there when the throw was made.
Great performance today. Now, Evans, you carried a lot of the load on the offense. Can you talk a little bit about the openings that you got and the runs you were able to make?
I have to thank the line. The line, they just pushed. They kept on pushing for me and HT. And coach always told me keep driving my foot on contact and just make plays.
Your team showed some perseverance today. You had some turnovers. You came back from that and got right in the game. Can you talk about that perseverance?
Then again, I just have to say, offense, we always bounce back. It doesn't matter if we turn the ball over. Coach always told us, short-term memory, it never happened. Just continue forward and continue making plays.
Yeah, we just got
Congratulations on your win. And HT, of course, you as well, a huge, huge offensive performance. You had the touchdown today. Can you take us through it?
Well, that was the 32 Nittany, and I knew my O-line would get me in. I knew it was about whoever wanted it more, and we got the push, and they got me in. So, I have to attribute everything to the O-line. It's not really me, it's a team effort.
And, of course, Lindell Stone went out with the injury today. Your offense really recovered from that. Can you talk about that, having to regroup after the injury?
Well, since we rolled two quarterbacks, Christian is always ready. Christian gets reps, gets as much reps, if not more, than Lindell. So Christian stepped in and he got the job done. And that's why we're very, fortunate that we're one of few teams to actually roll two quarterbacks. So Christian stepped up and he got the job done.
Huge performance today. Congratulations. Appreciate it. And Liam, you probably think I want to talk about the field goal, but I actually want to talk about the punt at the beginning of the third quarter where you penned them at the 5-yard line. You helped your team get great field position for that touchdown. Can you talk about that?
I owed it all to Blakely, the snapper. Gave me a great snap, got it, put it up, and I owed it all to Duke, who got it and grounded it. And I owe it all to the line, holding all the blockers back. So, it's a great feeling. The best feeling you can have is when you do your job and you do it right.
And of course, they came in here as the #1 private school ranked in the state. How does it feel to beat them?
Feels great. We always have doubters, but I always think that we always pull through. We're a team that can't be beat, or mentally can't be beat.
Well, congratulations. A big win today for you guys.
Thank you.
Back to you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Monica, and thank you guys for a great performance today. Real quickly, want to go Brian's going to run us down a quick look at the stats, and some interesting things jump out when we look at that stat sheet.
Yeah, it's we talked all game about the fact that Woodberry Forest was outgaining them, and the fumbles is what hurt them. The actual yards, it was 352 yards of total offense for the Tigers and 217 for Benedictine. They fumbled 4 times, they lost 3 of them. That's really the only negative stat, but running the football, Evans Revere, 16 carries, 78 yards, 16 carries, 76 yards for HT Minor. Well, I mentioned a few times how well I thought Duke Sherrill played. He's in the books officially for 6 tackles, 1 for a loss, and the interception defensively standing out there. And doing a nice job coming in was Christy Zayton, who he only passed for 68 yards, but he came in and he controlled things. He settled things down. He was able to lead the offense after Lindell Stone left, who, by the way, when he left, he was 4 for 4 for 43 yards. And, of course, that big rushing play that he did get injured on, he picked up a gain of 18 yards when he was driven down to the turf with an injury. But in general, the stat sheet shows really what we saw on the field is that the fumbles were an issue and the fact that they consistently outgained them. And really, 10-0, that's the only stat that really matters, right?
Let's get it down to Monica Moore standing by with the head coach of the Woodberry Forest Tigers.
Jeremy, Woodberry Forest coach Clint.
Should have mentioned that. 11 penalties.
I couldn't be prouder. I honestly really don't know what to say. We battled through so much adversity today. 5 turnovers, lose a quarterback in the first quarter, and find a way to win this game with kids really playing hard against some special kids that can score on any play. So to shut this team out, I'm amazed.
And speaking of that, your gritty little Tigers, your defense, shut out the #1 private school team in the state ranked and came up with a huge performance today. Can you talk a little bit about them as a unit, what they've done so far this year coming into this game, and of course what they did today?
Well, part of it is they're incredibly unselfish. So we roll kids in each week based on what we need. Number 52 this week, Ryan Grady, played a ton. He played so well last week. He graded out 22 out of 23 plays. I said, guys, we got playing more. And everybody goes, okay. So we just rotated 4 guys every 2 plays at 3 spots and never had to talk to him again. And I think we've done that in the defensive backfield this week. We certainly do that with the defensive line. So I think their unselfishness and they care about each other so much. That's why they play so well together.
Well, and of course your offense today, you talked a little bit about the turnovers, but they had great perseverance and they dealt with losing Lindell Stone, doing a great job. Can you just talk a little bit about them and what surprised you today and what did not surprise you on the field?
Well, I thought that first drive we were going to go right down in there and punch that in. And what happened is Lindell checked the play on a play that's a one sound snap. So, which I said, learn a big lesson today. You can't check on first sound. So of course they recovered. But we handled that. We rallied. I would say what was even more impressive, here's a kid that loves football as much or more than any kid I've ever coached in my life. And as soon as they tape up his shoulder, he's filling up the water bottles and running the water onto the field. And he's a good example of all the boys. I mean, they all do that for each other. So, battling through the adversities, the defense never panicked. They didn't blame the offense. Nobody blamed the defense when we gave up a big play. We just kept playing.
Well, congratulations, Coach. We'll let you get back to celebrating with your team.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Monica, and thanks, Coach. One last stat we got to pass along to you. The Tigers ran for 241 in this game, held Benedictine to just 74 yards. A grounded-out game, even if it was coming out of the shotgun. We want to thank everyone on our production team, executive producer B.J. Kubaroulis, director Jim Lepp, replay Nick Plummer, camera reader ops John Reed, Jameson Mangan, and Alec Rodriguez. Monica Moore, our sideline reporter, Brian Gardner. I'm Jeremy Huber. 10-0 win today for Woodberry Forest over Benedictine in this matchup. We'll come at you in a few weeks on the 8th of November for that huge one between Woodberry Forest and Episcopal. But for now, good afternoon, everybody.